I'm Jason Church. Tens of thousands of Missourians could have their prescription drug benefits cut. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that the issue is a change endorsed by the Republican-led state legislature that could result in the loss of state prescription drug aid to an estimated 64,000 Missourians. St. Louis police are asking for anyone with information about the shooting on Friday that left 3 dead and a 7-year-old in critical condition to come forward. Police are also asking for help with 6 other murders that happened over the weekend. The power is back on for Sauget and Cahokia residents after a car crashed into a utility pole last night. It took until this morning to fully restore power. The driver was taken to the hospital for minor injuries. This news update brought to you by STL Fenceworks, where your satisfaction is our passion. For in-depth coverage on these stories and more, go to 971talk.com/news.
Drug or alcohol problems for you or a loved one can be solved, and with insurance. Treatment may be at little or no cost to you. Call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Save your family and yourself. 800-430-4149.
Join me, Thomas Helbig, along with Mark Cox and Mark Close for the Protecting Your Retirement educational event Thursday, June 22nd at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. This is a seating limited event, so you need to hurry. Call right now to reserve your space. 855-755-1555. Are you retired or nearing retirement and wondering how to generate the most guaranteed income? Do you have a clearly defined retirement income plan? Are you also wondering how a market correction will affect your retirement? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 or older, you don't want to miss this special event. You'll also receive a copy of the book I co-authored with Brian Tracy titled Uncommon. It's about common sense but uncommon knowledge. Protect your retirement nest egg and join me along with Mark Cox and Mark Close on Thursday, June 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Frontenac Hilton. Call 855-755-1555 or visit retirementkey.com. That's 855-755-1555 or online at retirementkey.com.
Have your current tax issues been keeping you up at night? Hi, I'm Lance Drury, and I'd like to help you resolve your tax burden and finally have some peace of mind. Tax problems are legal problems. I'm a local tax resolution attorney with over 30 years of legal experience. I've helped hundreds resolve their issues with the IRS and Missouri Department of Revenue, and I can help you. We'll meet face-to-face right here at my office in St. Louis. Your first visit is free and confidential. We'll work together on a strategy to resolve your tax problems, and just like a white oak, I have deep roots in tax resolution law. I know your rights, I know the law, and I get results. So if you've been accused of tax evasion, tax fraud, facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, act now. Go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com, or call me, Lance Drury, 314-238-7360.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
May is National Stroke Awareness Month. At Renew Sleep Solutions, we want to make you aware that if your obstructive sleep apnea is untreated, you have double the risk of having a stroke, along with increased risk for high blood pressure and heart attack. I'm Jim Evinger with Renew Sleep Solutions. We're helping people just like you in St. Louis. Our Renew Sleep system is FDA cleared, compact, and comfortable. It's custom fit just for you and proven to treat your sleep apnea without a big, bulky CPAP mask or painful surgery. Our services are covered by most medical insurance. There's no mask or hoses, no pain or downtime, just a better night's sleep for you and the loved one next to you. I've seen it change thousands of lives, and yours can be next. Feel great again, St. Louis. Learn more at renewsleep.com or call 314-824-0700. That's 314-824-0700 or go to renewsleep.com.
This hour of the Mark Cox Show brought to you by Naputi Wellness, NaputiWellnessCenter.com.
The Mark Cox Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
The Mark Cox Show.
I respect that. We don't agree.
Listen to both sides.
Let's get it on. Is the Mark Cox Show.
The acts of these 3 men on Saturday night was cowardly, was evil. And I'm angry and furious that these 3 men are seeking to justify their actions by using the faith that I belong to justify their actions. The ideology they follow is perverse, it is poisonous, and it has no place in Islam. And I condemn this terrorist act, but also the poisonous ideology these men and others follow.
That is the mayor of London who has disinvited Donald Trump to his country because his rear end is smarting after a series of radical Islamic attacks around Europe. In fact, even as we speak, police over in France are investigating yet another attack, this one near Notre Dame, with a hammer, where the suspect was yelling, "This is for Syria." Apparently injured a number of people with a hammer and had a knife, and near the cathedral there in Paris. So the attacks continue to sweep across Europe. In fact, in just a few minutes, we're going to talk to Katie Hopkins from the Daily Mail to kind of get her take, her update from the other side of the pond on what's going on. This was breaking news just a few minutes ago, and we're still waiting for the very latest on this. So be sure you stand by for that. If we get any more information on it, we're going to bring that to you right here during the course of this show. And here's the thing. They finally arrested a leaker. Did you see that story? Did you see that? I thought that was great. We're going to talk about this today. Somebody whose first name is Reality. Not quite sure what her parents were thinking. Somebody with a top secret security clearance who hated Donald Trump. And that was clearly her motivation for leaking top secret information. Finally, somebody might go to court over this issue. And it seems long overdue, and I can't imagine why there aren't a bunch of other deep-seated government officials who are facing the same thing. Freedom of speech is one thing. Having your opinion, I fully support. If you have a top secret security clearance and you share classified information, your butt needs to rot in a jail cell. I don't care what your reason is for doing it, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, your political opinion shouldn't matter. But that's what the left seems to want to look the other way on that and think that it's okay. Wow. Welcome into the Mark Cox Show. As you can tell, I take a day off and I've got so much on my mind that I'm ranting right off the top of the show, and I apologize for that. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We had a great time yesterday at the Maryland Heights Police Officers Association golf tournament. 97.1 was a sponsor of that. I was out there golfing with Annie Fry and other staff members here, Program Director Jeff Allen. We had a great time. We got to raise a lot of money for Rankin Jordan and helping the kids that need help there at Rankin Jordan. Thrilled to participate in that. I helped hand out some of the awards, and I did not get any, by the way, because I'm a horrible golfer. But besides that, we had a good time out there, and thanks to everybody in law enforcement and everybody for supporting Maryland Heights. They had a full tournament, and that's saying something. They had no spots left. So hopefully we can make that maybe a yearly event. We can help them out again next year. I know they had a ballpark of in the high teens, maybe close to $20,000 that they raised yesterday. That's going to go directly to help those kids. So we're waiting to get a final number, and we will bring that to you as soon as we can. So. We'll get to that and just we'll get to more details on that when they become available. We'll get to Chris Arps a little later in the show, and I have to tell you, we are working. Did you see where the state of California? We're working on this. We don't know if we're going to get William LaJeunesse, but Fox News is reporting today the state of California is considering putting up its own version of a single-payer healthcare system. And apparently the fact that the expense of it would be more than their current total state budget doesn't matter to the crazies that live in the state of California. That says volumes about the people on the left in this country who want some sort of a socialist utopia, but have no idea how they're going to pay for it. It's one of the craziest stories that you've ever heard, and we're going to get to more on that for you a little later. As well, the report that CBS and even Fox has been reporting on today about this leak that appears to suggest more Russian attempts to interfere in our election. Did you see that story today? Fox News had it on at the top of the hour several times today, suggesting that the Russians made attempts to hack into our voting system in the days before the election. That was actually the headline on that story. But it's not they've done this across the mainstream media with this, and they missed the point. And we're going to talk about that more today because I think it's so important to get to the truth if you're going to report on this story. There's a reaction in this country when you mention the word Russia right now that doesn't jibe with reality, quite frankly. And that's something we have to address. We've gone so far to the left on this argument. Let me get to what Don Trump Jr. Said this weekend, Liz. I know we pulled that sound earlier. We effectively pointed out that this is the biggest. This Russia connection story is one of the biggest non-issues that he could think of. One of the biggest non-stories.
This was actually Eric Trump.
Was it Eric Trump,
yes.
Not Don Jr.? Let's listen to it.
Okay.
It's the greatest hoax of all time. I was there throughout the campaign. We have no dealings in Russia. We have no projects in Russia. We have nothing to do with Russia.
So that was Eric Trump. I'm sorry, I said Don Jr. And I think he's making a point that gets overlooked in all of these stories. The fact that there is no evidence, and yet every other story on CNN would lead you to believe that it's the downfall of America, that America's about to fall apart, so to speak, because of what's happened. Liz, let's get to the soapbox, please.
Now, Mark Cox Soapbox.
Let me read this headline to you. Russia tried to hack into various U.S. voting systems. That was the headline I heard this morning, not just on the networks, on Fox News. That was the headline. Russia tried to hack into various U.S. voting systems. That drumbeat continues, and it gets more ridiculous every day. This morning on CBS News, they ran a piece there by their reporter, Jeff Pegues. All right? But what I'd like to do for you before we get to the meat of that story is to run the tag to that story. Just to put this in perspective, let me run the tag to Jeff's story first.
U.S. officials have consistently said that they do not believe Russian hackers actually affected the vote count or the outcome of the election. And even with this new information, sources say they stand by that assessment.
There you go. So I'm going to get back to this in a minute because we've got our guest, Katie Hopkins, is on the line ready to go with this. But I want to get back to this story because it's very important. The way this was reported versus the reality of it would lead you to believe the Russians almost managed to get into our voting booths. And that was not the case at all with this story. So let me put that on hold for a minute. I'm going to pivot here, and I want to get to Katie Hopkins, who we've got on the phone now. She's the global columnist for the Daily Mail. Katie, thanks for giving us some time. Katie, are you there?
Story.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us some time today. I appreciate that. Here we are. When I ask you to come on the show, we've got yet another terrorist attack, it appears, this time in France.
Absolutely. We've just had pictures through of the attacker. He's now dead, lying on the floor. outside Notre Dame. He said as he attacked people, "This is for Syria," which is chillingly familiar language here in London when individuals caught up in the London Bridge attack heard the attacker shouting, "This is for Allah, this is for Allah." And we've just seen pictures as well of some of the injured in hospital, and I say the wounds that are still visible across people's necks and arms, the blows some people took fighting back against the attackers in the UK, quite traumatic to see.
You know, I heard your Prime Minister Theresa May say that we're not going to tolerate this. But as you and I have talked about in the past, there's been a great deal of tolerance up until now, and that seems to have led to this problem being exacerbated.
Absolutely, and this problem of tolerance continues. So at the moment, she did stand outside Number 10. She said, "Enough is enough," but unfortunately, that's sounding very much like the same hollow rhetoric that we have got used to. Our London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, has carried on with the old messaging, which is we stand shoulder to shoulder, we are not cowed, we stand united. And I can tell you, I know legion of people who refuse to go into the City of London because they are afraid for themselves or the safety of their family. And Theresa May has failed to implement a single change that is visible to us, the public. Since the last attack on Saturday, we have not rounded up the 3,000 on the watch list. We have not incarcerated the 23,000 known to authorities. And we have released the 12 individuals that were arrested straight after the attack because we are concerned for the civil liberties of the suspected terrorists. And I can tell you that the level of anger and rage here in the UK, as families still don't have news of their loved ones. We have a mother flying from Australia to come and roam the streets of London looking for her dead, possibly dead, suspected dead child. I mean, that is the state of play here, and still nothing is being done.
You've got, the identities now of the people in this most recent attack, and as you made reference to there before, at least one of these individuals was known to authorities, was on the watch list, had been part, I believe, of a documentary on people who had pledged their allegiance to ISIS in London?
Absolutely. It would be laughable if it weren't so brutally tragic. All three of the attackers from the last three attacks, so if you think about Westminster, you think about Manchester, you think about London Bridge, three separate massive terrorist incidents. All three of those lead attackers were known to the authorities, were known to MI5, were known to the intelligence services, some even reported by family and friends who were concerned, and those reports were ignored. And then, most shockingly of all for many of us, is that the attacker, one of the attackers involved in this most recent attack on Saturday night on London Bridge, he was involved in a documentary made by one of our broadcasters called The Jihadi Next Door, where he was seen with the ISIS flag on camera in a public park calling allegiance to IS. That was on Netflix until just a day or so ago. So jihadis here in the UK hiding in plain sight, featuring in documentaries called The Jihadi Next Door. The same guy worked in tunnels under the Houses of Parliament. He had a job there, and we still let him go, and we let him go to the point where he took a 12-inch hunting knife and stabbed it through the faces of young girls who were out for a night out in town.
It's just beyond words to hear how that went down. Before I let you go, Katie, I read where the London mayor, Sadiq Khan, is now pushing for Donald Trump to not be invited to London. Is it because he doesn't like the truth that Donald Trump is speaking?
I cannot word this strongly enough. Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, was sworn in on the Quran. He has a history and reputation of defending terrorists when he was a lawyer. He was a consultant lawyer for the 9/11 bomber. He was the legal representative for Farrakhan, a guy who said we should kill all white people. Sadiq Khan campaigned to get him into the UK. The same man that is now campaigning to have the very brilliant Donald Trump not allowed into the UK. I always say that Sadiq Khan has wanted to create his own version of Londonistan, and I think he's doing a very fine job of it. What I would say, of course, is that America should look to the UK. Let us be a warning to you. Please defend your country. Please get a travel ban in place. And we now look to Donald Trump for hope. He is the last glimmer of hope for us, because I believe this country I love, that I joined the army to fight for, has truly fallen and is still falling.
Katie Hopkins, thank you for those words, and thank you for your great reporting on this. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great day. Katie Hopkins, global columnist with the Daily Mail. Have I mentioned how much the left, which is the mainstream in London, detests Katie Hopkins because she speaks the truth about their mayor and about their lackadaisical attitude toward the radical elements of Islam that exist within their culture? They despise her. They try to go to court and shut her up. It's unbelievable what happens over there. Let me get to a break. 314-969-9797, 866-455-9797. We'll get to your phone calls. And, of course, if you missed part of that interview with Katie, you can always go to 971talk.com/Cox. We will have those interviews up there shortly and pushed out on Twitter. When we come back, we'll wrap up the soapbox, which I started and had to stop because I wasn't sure we were going to get Katie, but we did. And we'll invite Chris Arps, of course, who did a great job filling in for me yesterday, back for his normal Tuesday segment. We'll be right back.
The Mark Cox Show on FM News Talk 97.1, 98.7, AM 1490, and 97.1talk.com.
Join Mark Close at Premier Builder Supply Wednesday, June 7th for their Salvation Army Flood Relief Drive for neighbors still needing assistance. Go to 97.1talk.com for all the details and stop by and see Mark Wednesday, June 7th, 10 till noon at Premier Builder Supply in Fenton.
All right, we've got a party coming up at our house. I would like to invite all of you. Unfortunately, I don't have enough room. But it is a graduation party for my son. And one thing we're going to be proud to do when we invite people into our home is to show off our new flooring, which is new carpeting going up covering the entire second floor of our house and up the steps. And, of course, if anybody takes the grand tour, the nickel tour, they'll get to see the new flooring we put down in our bathroom as well, which is a laminate, which is waterproof, which we don't ever have to worry about getting out of the shower or the tub and spilling some water and it damaging the floor or leaking down below. It's perfect. Went in there with a completely different idea on what we wanted in the bathroom, and Michael's educated us. Michael's Flooring Outlet, the folks there, Michael prides himself on the fact that his employees will educate you and not just sell you whatever's in overstock, because they've got everything that they've got on the floor in stock, and they'll sell you what you need and not what they want to give you. 4 great locations, of course, the original there in Old Town St. Peters, also Darden Prairie in West County in the 12,000 block of Olive, and North County in the 8,400 block of North Lindbergh in Florissant. Go to their website for all of their products at michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Right now, you could win $375 million when you play Powerball from the Missouri Lottery. But the only way to win is to grab a ticket before this Wednesday's drawing. So what are you waiting for? You could be a millionaire. Get your ticket today.
Every day, skeptical men suffering from erectile dysfunction come into the St. Louis Men's Clinic wondering if we can solve their problem. After all, you have tried pills, pumps, and lotions, all with little to no positive results. At the St. Louis Men's Clinic, we are successful 95% of the time. Why? Because our licensed physicians are experts at solving your ED. It's what we do all day, every day, solving your ED. See the results for yourself right in our office. The doctor's visit, testos, testosterone, and PSA test is only $199. Look, if you don't get results from the testos in our office, you owe us nothing for the office visit. So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Call us now and move from skeptic to believer and ask about our new revolutionary Priapus shot. Appointments fill fast. Call 314-828-2600. That's 314-828-2600. Call 314-828-2600.
Hey, would you buy a house without looking inside? Well, of course not. Well, shouldn't you be just as diligent when choosing a financial advisor? Hey, it's Sean Hannity here, and just as a house is more than four walls, well, a financial advisor is more than just a nice office. Now, what's their background? Do they work in your best interest as a fiduciary? What's their financial specialty? Now, you want to know all these things because the chances are over your lifetime, you're going to trust them with far more than the value of your home because knowledge and experience count for a lot in retirement income planning. Here in St. Louis, you need to know Ken and Lori Heisey and the team at the Heisey Advisory Group. Call them now at 314-328-6000. That's 314-328-6000. Don't be cavalier with your financial assets. Heisey Advisory Group, 314-328-6000.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Heisey Advisory Group are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Going to the dentist doesn't have to be such a pain. Hi, I'm general dentist Pete Spolito with West County Dental. For over 13 years, my team and I have been building a strong foundation of trust within our community by treating all of our patients like family. Our ultimate goal is to help you achieve optimal dental and overall health using state-of-the-art equipment like laser and 3D imaging, modern techniques, and a high standard of care. With options like same-day crowns, emergency appointments, dental implants, Invisalign and root canals, rest assured all your dental needs can be met right here in my office. We also offer soothing sedation for those with a higher level of fear. From start to finish, we want to make every moment of your visit as peaceful, painless, and stress-free as possible so you feel right at home.
West County Dental is centrally located. Call today and take advantage of their new patient general or periodontal cleaning special. Learn more at 314-561-9442. That's 314-561-9442. Or visit dentistrystressfree.com.
And you know why they're after Sessions? It's quite simple. He's a conservative.
Weeknights, 9 to midnight.
That's why they're after him. You're not allowed to be a conservative.
Mark Levin.
You have to be destroyed.
Mark Levin. Weeknights, 9 to midnight.
On FM News Talk
97.1.
You're listening to The Mark Cox Show. Find everything Mark Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
U.S. officials have consistently said that they do not believe Russian hackers actually affected the vote count or the outcome of the election. And even with this new information, sources say they stand by that assessment.
Welcome back. That is Jeff Pegues from CBS News this morning on this report that Russian hackers nearly broke into U.S. voting systems. That's been the lead story on all of the networks. Top secret reports say that Russian hackers almost tried to break into U.S. voting systems. Folks, I started to get to my soapbox on this earlier, but I got to tell you, and Chris Arps is joining us in the studio. I'm going to skip your lead in today. Thank you for filling in yesterday.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
But I've got to get this off my chest. I listened to this morning, and you know my fifth paragraph rule, right? I've kind of been touting that lately. Anytime you read a shocking headline in a mainstream newspaper, skip down to the fifth paragraph, and that's probably where they've buried the lead. That usually undermines whatever the headline is. It's just what they do. So you're going to have to start doing that for television. This was the tag. What you just listened was the tag story to Jeff Pegues' story this morning. So listen to it again. Listen.
U.S. officials have consistently said that they do not believe Russian hackers actually affected the vote count or the outcome of the election. And even with this new information, sources say they stand by that assessment.
So what's the story, Jeff Pegues? It changed nothing. Now listen to this. When you've got to apply this fifth paragraph rule to televisions too. You might as well just listen to the tag to the story first before you listen to the actual story. There wouldn't be much of a story in this case. Listen, you got to get through the misreporting of this is epic. So let me play the beginning of the story. This is what they're basically getting at right now.
Investigators believe there were repeated intrusion attempts by Russian hackers in the final days of the campaign.
Repeated hacking attempts. You see what he's hinting at here, right? That somehow they got into the voting booth in an American election. That's kind of what they wanted to lead you down that path of this story. But nothing could be further from the truth. Let me boil this down for you. This intelligence report claims that somebody in Russia went on a phishing expedition. That's with a PH at the beginning of it. You know, an email scam. They went on a phishing expedition of the email systems of a private company that helps with U.S. voter registration. Not U.S. voting systems, not electronic voting machines, not even local election board computers, but some private company that dealt with U.S. voter registration. Do you understand that? There's not even evidence they were successful in any of it. Not at all. But even if they had, it still would have had zero impact on the outcome of the election. It had nothing to do with what happened in the photo booth. And you know the story they're missing here, don't you? This is the story they missed out of all of this. Even if somebody got a hold of your voter registration information, if proper voter ID laws were in place, they wouldn't have been able to vote in your name anyway. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
So think about that for a minute. The story is here they tried to hack into a private voter registration company somewhere to get information. But what good would that have done them unless, like the Democratic Party is known to do, they somehow had dead people voting, or they were falsifying information to let people go in and vote in your name, like they did with the absentee ballots here in South City. You see what I'm getting? If you've got proper protections at the voting place, this wouldn't have made any difference to begin with. But it's the Democrats who don't want proper protections at the voting place. So the best way to keep these outside influences, these Russians or whoever the hell they are, from influencing the outcome of our elections is to secure our vote by requiring photo ID. And we've already started that on June 1st in the state of Missouri. Because there's millions of these scams every day. This is nothing unusual about this. Nothing about it would have affected the outcome of the election. But that's the impression they want to leave you with. That's why I tell you when you listen to mainstream television reports, you have to listen with a critical ear. Just a stupid question here, but it's one I have to ask. How many low-information left-wingers do you think are walking around today because they either saw the headline written down or they heard the headline in a news update, convinced more than ever that voting machines in this country were hacked and changed the outcome of the election? You know there's a couple of idiots walking around somewhere. You might run into one of them at the water cooler at work today. That's what happens based on reports like this. A little later, I'm going to play you an exchange that took place between Sebastian Gorka and Chris Cuomo on CNN. It was classic. Sebastian Gorka destroyed Chris Cuomo, who was sitting there reading Democratic talking points to him, and then he got angry when he was accused of being part of the fake news. This is where... this is what you get out of a lot of these major news channels right now. They'll say whatever the hell they want, and then they'll feign indignation when you challenge them on it. What the left and the Democrats and the media are doing in this country is the equivalent of a silent coup, but it's not so silent. So don't forget what you've heard here today, folks. Despite the headlines, whatever this is, nobody hacked into U.S. voting systems. That's the equivalent. That's the definition of fake news, when you can get away with stuff like that. Now, Chris, I apologize for eating into part of our first segment here, but I had to get that off. I had to get that off my chest.
My heart's beating fast from that.
Is that right? Did you feel a tingle down your leg, Mr. Matthews?
Not so much, but I started getting agitated.
Hey, you got to get people fired up and get them thinking. You got to get their minds going in the right direction here.
And it's kind of what we said before when that whole thing came out in North St. Louis about the prominent family that's involved with the voter absentee ballots and all that stuff going around. And you would think that there would be African Americans that would be more involved in that, because your vote is getting stolen when these same people are being elected over and over and over that aren't doing anything for you, but they've got absentee ballot scams going on to keep them in office. You think it's not so much a plan to disenfranchise you from white people. African Americans are disenfranchising a lot of their constituents in the inner city by stealing votes through absentee ballots and other things.
Best way to do it is to just prove who you are when you vote.
And as the studies have shown over and over and over, wherever this is instituted, voter participation goes up.
It should.
Every single instance, it goes up.
It kills me that people say it's designed to squash the number of people who turn out to vote.
Yeah.
Isn't that an insult, though? I mean, as someone who for many years has spoken on behalf of conservative African Americans, because that's what MoveOnUp.org is all about, aren't you insulted when the left comes out and claims that this is going to somehow diminish the ability of older African Americans? They're trying to hold down the minority vote by requiring people to have IDs because many of these people just can't get IDs. Like they're not capable of it. It's silly.
Well, it insults me because people within the community are not letting the proper information get out that says if you are an older person and you don't have a birth certificate or your ID is not as valid as it should be, they will give you a provisional ballot, or they will let you get another ID. No one is going to be disenfranchised for free.
Right.
No one's going to be disenfranchised. And I tell you another Democratic talking point that has always insulted me over the years is how they always try to focus on the minimum wage, how that's an issue that's going to affect African Americans. It doesn't. 75% of African Americans are in the middle class. I've seen studies by the Labor Department that says a great majority of the people that make minimum wage are students, high school students, and college students. No one is trying to raise a family on minimum wage. And like I said, it's insulting whenever they go out and campaign. That's the first thing they talk about is minimum wage, like all black people live in the ghetto and are trying to survive off $7.10 an hour when 80% of us are middle class.
How about that? You got 2 soapboxes in a row right here on the Mark Cox Show. You can't beat that.
Does that count?
Absolutely.
Right.
You bet.
Take that.
Chris Arps, again, great job yesterday. Thank you I'm glad you're with us today.
You got a great job.
Much more to get. What's that?
You got a great job.
Thank you. I got to golf yesterday. How about that? Isn't that awesome?
About this job.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's a great job to let me off to golf yesterday, and then I'm back today. I said I had so much to talk about off the top of the show because I was off yesterday that I forgot to say hello to everyone when the show came on today.
It's okay.
I just have so much built
short
up, ready
list,
to get out.
You didn't get to the short list yet? See, I'm on it. I know the short list now.
I'm going to get to the short list when I come back, Liz. I promise. Liz has to remind me of that
I have a short list phobia.
Joe, hang on the line. Chris and I'll get to you next. 314-969-9797.
This is the Mark Cox Show. Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather with Dave Murray.
What a difference a day makes here in St. Louis. Tons of sunshine, cooler with lower humidity. Just a delightful day. Summer takes the back seat for a couple of days. 78 for the high. Tonight, clear, cool, comfortable, down to 55 degrees. Wednesday, sunny and nice. 80, sunny and nice. Thursday, 82. I'm Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray for FM News Talk 97.1.
Well, you've heard me talk about Dr. Eric Naputi for a while here at Naputi Wellness Center. I've been down there. It really is a unique approach to wellness, a unique approach to pain management, however you want to look at it. Well, now's your chance to meet Dr. Naputi. He's going to have something he's calling Dinner with the Doc. It's coming up June 27th, 7 p.m. It's going to be free. It's an adults-only event. It's going to be held at Orlando Gardens, which is easy to get to right down here off I-55. Not only do you get a nice meal, but you're going to hear a great message from Dr. Eric about what's going on with the direction of healthcare in this country and about health and wellness and some easy steps you can take to make some corrections in your life to help your body out. You don't have to wait till Obamacare's replaced to take control of your health insurance and your health care. That's his message here. There's a way you can do it, and Dr. Eric's going to tell you all about it. You have to register because, of course, they have to know how many people are coming, but it's for free. All you have to do is go to NaputiWellnessCenter.com. Again, NaputiWellnessCenter.com. Click on the events tab and get signed up for Dinner with the Doc June 27th.
When IRS problems become serious problems, you need serious solutions. Lance Drury is here to help. Named top practitioner of 2016 by the American Society of Tax Problem Solvers, Lance will create a specific strategy for solving your IRS problems and navigate the path for IRS tax relief. Lance Drury has handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in the St. Louis area, so you know you're in good hands. Your first visit is completely free and confidential. You'll meet with him in person. When Lance Drury contacts the IRS on your behalf, they'll know that you have an experienced tax resolution attorney who knows your rights. So take action now. If you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call the law firm of Lance R. Drury at 314-238-7360 or go to lancedrurylaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need Lance Drury. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Woodpeckers communicate using their own Morse code. Nature is amazing. So get out there. Play Missouri Lottery's Summer Park Sensation for a chance to win a VIP trip to the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, and more. Just enter your eligible tickets at molottery.com.
Mark Cox here, inviting you to join me, Thomas Helbig, and Mark Close for the Protecting Your Retirement educational event Thursday, June 22nd at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. Call 855-755-1555 now to reserve a seat. It's a seating limited event, so you need to hurry. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you retired or nearing retirement and wondering how to generate the most guaranteed income? Do you have a clearly defined retirement income plan? Are you also wondering how a market correction will affect your retirement? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 or older, you don't want to miss this special event. You'll also receive a copy of the book I co-authored with Brian Tracy titled Uncommon. It's about common sense but uncommon knowledge. See you Thursday, June 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Frontenac Hilton.
Protect your retirement nest egg with the official financial advisor of my show, Thomas Helbig, along with myself and Mark Close at the Frontenac Hilton Thursday, June 22nd at 6:30. Call 855-755-1555 or visit retirementkey.com. That's 855-755-1555.
Is this summer finally going to be the one you use your timeshare again? Or will it be yet another year that you missed the boat and booking, that all the places you wanted to go were already reserved? It's time to call Timeshare Exit Team, the most trusted name in the industry. This year alone, they will save their customers millions in maintenance fees. Let them save you some money too. Call 844-925-EXIT and schedule your free consultation. Call 844-925-EXIT. 844-925-3948. Online, timeshareexitteam.com.
Jamie Allman in the morning.
Reality Lay Winner, who was arrested for leaking classified information. She's a Bernie Sanders supporter and worked for a government contractor. She's part of the resistance.
On FM News Talk
97.1. You're listening to The Mark Cox Show. Follow the show on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Mark Cox Show.
The Short List, brought to you by Bill Thomas Camper Sales. Find your camper at btcamper.com.
It's the greatest hoax of all time. I was there throughout the campaign. We have no dealings in Russia. We have no projects in Russia. We have nothing to do with Russia.
There are 7 people dead in London. There are 48 people, half of them in the ICU in hospital, and we're talking about tweets.
At its core, our new plan will dramatically improve America's air traffic control system by turning it over to a self-financing, nonprofit organization.
So we're going to privatize the air traffic control system, according to the president. That's interesting, but people didn't seem to be focusing too much on that today. They were focusing on his tweets about the travel ban. He called it a travel ban. What difference does it make? I mean, not to quote Hillary Clinton here, but, you know, quite frankly, whether you call it a travel ban or a 90-day delay for travel to these countries, effectively for the duration of it, travel from those 6 countries would be banned. What's wrong with calling it a travel ban?
And hasn't the original travel ban time frame already passed since this has been in court?
Well, I think that it would be whenever from the time it was probably suspended, right?
Well, I'm saying what was supposed to be a 6-month ban?
I thought it was 90 days.
90 days?
I think it's 90 days.
But 90 days has passed a couple of times over.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear Gorka go on about this and with Cuomo this weekend because, obviously these two are going to disagree on this, and it's interesting because Cuomo can't hold a candle to Cuomo can't hold a candle to Gorka from a capacity standpoint. But to listen to them argue about this, Gorka said, listen, the president has the constitutional authority to stop anyone or any group he wants from coming to the United States. And Cuomo's all hung up on, but he's targeting Muslims. And Gorka just eviscerated him.
Oh, I thought you was going to play.
No, he eviscerated him.
I'm just wondering why are we worried about offending the sensibilities of people from countries that are on terrorist lists? Is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
If you're offended because you're from Syria or you're from Yemen or somewhere, and we don't want you in, tough.
Well, I'll let you listen to part of it. Here you go.
Yeah, I thought you were about
to do one thing. We're not here to discuss your spin. We're here to protect Americans. So answer me this question. When the last administration forbade the State Department from looking at the public postings on the Facebook pages of foreigners applying for visas to America, do you think that was a good move?
I think that you have to judge the administrations by how safe. Oh, but
yes
look, it's not for me to opine on an administration's
you're opining the whole time about
nature.
The Trump administration.
If there are questions about the intentions,
you're opining the whole time. Your show is opining.
It is. I'm not opining. I'm asking you questions, and I'm pushing back on your own arguments, and you're good at making them.
It's not for me to opine on whether something the Obama administration did was good or bad. But he spends his whole show opining on whether something the Trump administration is doing is good or bad. Yeah. Now, here's the difference. Chris Cuomo anchors a news program.
Right.
He doesn't anchor an opinion show like Sean Hannity or me or anyone else. So he's really Gorka stripped the emperor clean there. He has no clothes in here. Gorka proved that he was basically giving the Democratic talking points about Trump saying something during the campaign, and that must be why he's doing this now.
Chris Cuomo has taken the tack that many of the liberals have to defeat terrorism, that if we don't offend these people and we act like we're nice to them and that we love them and that we understand that the people that are blowing everybody up are not part of your religion, that you're different, that if we can just get that message across to them, that we can end terrorism, which we all know is...
Yeah,
and all these terrorist attacks that you're talking about, people are forgetting, this 3 or 4 in the last couple weeks, it's Ramadan. And Ramadan is like full moon for the jihadis. They just go nuts during Ramadan. You're going to have attacks going all the time.
Yeah, this is what it reminds me of.
That wasn't insulting.
No, not at all. Okay. No. Can't we all just get along?
Is there an Islamic version of that?
I'm sorry. That's what I think about whenever that's kind of what the left wants to do in this country.
If we don't offend them,
they'll love us. But why don't you like me? I don't understand it. You've hurt my snowflake. Phil, thanks for holding on. You're on the air with Mark and Chris.
Hey, thanks, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
I know journalists don't want to give up their sources when they get stories, but I'm getting sick and tired of hearing my sources are sources. All that is that I made it up, and I'm going to use my sources as the people I got it from, even though I made it up. It's bull. It's just complete bull.
Well,
I'm tired of hearing it. If anybody, when I hear a news organization, when I hear anybody say, well, my sources say it's this way, I don't believe a word they say, because you know what? If it's so damaging and they're so right and the people, their sources are so right, then why are they afraid to show their face and put them out there in the public and say, here's my source, here's the guy that says this is true? they won't do it because it's all bull and lies.
Well,
and one other thing, Mark.
Yeah, go ahead.
Conservatives and the people I hang around with, we're all resisting the Democrats and the fascist left, and we're going to resist them, and we're going to fight them, and we're going to win. So they can stick that in their little tulip tray and see if they like it. See you, Mark.
Phil, thank you for the call. The thing about sources, as somebody who worked in television journalism for a number of years, just let me throw this out there. The problem with it is that it can be abused. So for example, as a local television reporter, there were times when we found out information that somebody couldn't go on the record with. So for example, when they had that robbery of that ATM place over in the central corridor there,
the Brinks truck thing?
Yeah. So they went in and somebody broke in the middle of the night, stole a bunch of money from this very nondescript building. They found out it was a couple of insiders later. Blah blah blah. They spent months trying to track down that money because it got dispersed in a hurry. And when I was reporting on that, I knew a couple of police officers, some sources inside of the department who were willing to give me some information, some facts that the PR people for the police department weren't willing to give out for whatever reason. I was able to confirm, for example, live on the scene one time that, yes, they have found some money or something, at this location, blah, 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 blah. Sources had told me that, and I was willing to say, sources in law enforcement are telling me. And I think that's okay, right? But once you start using, here's what happens in the media these days. Somebody like NBC or CNN reports something that's been given to them by an anonymous source with an agenda. CNN reports it because they share the same agenda. And then all of the other news networks pick it up and rebroadcast it, right, even though they're not the ones. They have no idea what the original source of the information was. To them, they just think it's okay to say, well, CNN is reporting, right, and then it gets mass distribution, and it's a biased story. You hear it all the time.
I got a question, though, for you. Say if that was an ongoing story, the Brinks truck story, and you've got sources, and it keeps going on and on. I mean, you can't. I mean, you're going to keep doing your story saying sources tell me there's sources. I mean, does it get to a point
sources
where you're
confirm?
saying,
but what you try to do when you've got an anonymous source is you want a second person that's backing that information up. So it's not coming from a single source. You've got two different people that don't know each other or don't know you're talking to the other one who are telling you the same thing, and then you know you've got good information. But when you're going with something that arrived in the mail that's anonymous, that claims to be a top secret document, and you turn around and report it, right, with a false headline, and everybody else picks it up, that's put out there to do damage, right? That's the problem, and that's why people like Phil are getting so upset these days,
and others.
Unlike me, I'm always calm, cool, and collected. But thank you.
Except at the beginning of the show, you get a little worked up, a little agitated.
I got a lot to say, folks. Can I just tell you that? Chris
Exactly.
Arps, great job yesterday. Thanks again for filling in.
Thank you. And as I said, you got a great job.
Well, I appreciate that. I would agree with that
Enjoy.
completely. Yes, absolutely. All right, folks, stick around. We'll get to more of your phone calls in the next hour, 314-969-9797. I'll play some more of that Gorka Cuomo interaction. It's unbelievable, the kind of knots that he ties them in. And I'm hoping to get you a report on the state of California trying to go more off the rails by instituting a single-payer health care system. Maybe if they do that, all the liberals will flock to California. That's an idea. We'll be right back.
This hour of the Mark Cox Show brought to you by Naputi Wellness, NaputiWellnessCenter.com.
Well, I've told you about Agers HVAC and Brian Agers, who runs it. You can go to his web address at callagers.com. That's AGERS. The reason I direct you over there, check him out. Don't just take my word for it. Check out the way they do business. Brian tells me that honesty, trustworthiness means something to him. They always have, and he vowed when he went into the heating and air conditioning business that he wasn't going to be just out there to try to sell you something. If you call him over for service, they've got well-equipped trucks. He doesn't sub out that work. His employees are going to go in, they're going to fix the problem. If you've got one of their service agreements, which he'll give you a discount on, when you mention that you heard it on this show, you get a discount on the parts, a discount on the labor. 2 times a year, they come to the house to check the unit, before the season starts, and then you get a lifetime warranty on any repairs. That's a big deal. If you do need a new unit before summer hits, Brian's got up to $1,700 in Lennox rebates on qualifying systems. You can't beat that. Again, just go to his website and check it out, Agers HVAC. That's callagers.com.
You're seeing it on social media? Real estate agents are yelling it from practically every rooftop. And it's true. Buyers can't find homes. And if you're a seller, that's great news for you. Home inventory right now is extremely low. I'm Christina Straight, and I'm the owner of Straight Realty. And I'll get your home listed on the MLS for only 4%. Listing for 4% doesn't make you cheap. It just makes you smart. Why pay more than 4? Call 314-441-4444. 441-4444.
Now open ENT Now. You need same-day care for ear, nose, or throat conditions? Well, the ENT specialists at Sound Healthcare Services are here for you at 12 convenient locations around the metro area, and now at ENT Now, a new walk-in clinic at Manchester and 270 right there in De Pere Square. No appointments necessary. Open 7 to 7 Monday to Friday and Saturdays 8 to 1. Walk in or call for a time, 729-0077, or check it out at soundhealthservices.com. ENT care, just minutes away.
Allergies, pollen in the air, dogs in the house, mold in the basement. Whatever triggers your allergy symptoms, it can really hold you back. Break through with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief. Allegra works fast, won't make you drowsy, provides 24-hour multi-symptom relief, and it's effective every day. Break through allergies with Allegra. Starts working in 1 hour. Use only as directed. Guaranteed or your money back. Visit Allegra.com.
Napa know-how.
When you buy AC Pro refrigerant at Napa for $33.99, it comes with a pressure gauge, quick connect hose, and refrigerant to make just about any car cool again. Old cars, new cars, brown cars, even cars with hand crank windows. If it has 4 wheels and an air conditioner, AC Pro refrigerant for $33.99 can make your car cool. Literally. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 6/30/17.
FM News Talk 97.1. KFTK FM Florissant, KFTK AM East St. Louis, K254CR St. Louis.
Powered by thehomeloanexpert.com.
FM News Talk 97.1.
ISIS under pressure. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Police in Paris say a man who went on the attack with a hammer at Notre Dame Cathedral today shouted, "This is for Syria," which may or may not be a reference to the new offensive just underway today to retake the de facto ISIS capital of Raqqa in Syria. The attacker at first was just threatening passersby.
It was only when he attacked a policeman, wounding him in the head, that other armed policemen opened fire. And we know that they shot him twice in the chest, and that attacker is still alive, though wounded, and he's been taken on to hospital.
Fox's Benjamin Hall.
We've seen these attacks happen again and again. It's a low-tech attack using nothing more than a household appliance. This, however, was aimed not at a soft target, but a very iconic target. And actually, the French Paris headquarters are just yards away from the entrance of Notre Dame. But, this is Ramadan, and although it hasn't been confirmed that this was inspired by ISIS or directed by ISIS, it fits all the models.
Paris investigators launching a counter-terror investigation. Day 2 of the testimony at Bill Cosby's sexual assault trial. Fox's Gernal Scott is live at the courthouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Lisa, while the onlookers outside have died down, prosecutors aren't slowing down at all. The mother of Kelly Johnson, a second accuser, talked about her daughter's reaction to an alleged assault by Cosby. While the defense has sought to poke holes in the other side's case, one prosecution witness, a workers' compensation lawyer, may have highlighted a discrepancy, a difference in dates on Kelly Johnson's accusation. Lead accuser Andrea Constant has not yet testified, but an officer she reported her incident to has, meaning her testimony may not be far away, Lisa.
Gernal, a deadly gun battle at a home in Fresno, California. Police say 3 people killed, 1 wounded early today. They think it may have been a home invasion robbery or a drug deal gone bad. Fox News, fair and balanced.
When smart businesses need to grow their team, they do it on the site proven to deliver, Indeed.com. According to an independent study, Indeed delivers 5 times more hires than any other job site, more hires than the rest combined. And right now we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job, boosting your listing and relevant search results. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
If you're like me, there are a few pieces of advice that stick with you. Be yourself. Always double down. Do ordinary things in extraordinary ways. My dad told me that one, and I'll never forget it. This Father's Day, help make your dad's mornings extraordinary with a Harry's shave set. Each limited edition set has everything he needs for a great shave, including a signature razor, an engravable razor stand, and much more.
Head over to harrys.com and help make Dad's Day extraordinary. Use the code 2020 when you check out, and you'll even get $5 off your set. That's harrys.com, code 2020.
97.1 News Time 103. Good afternoon. I'm Jason Church. The murder of 3 adults in a shooting that also critically injured a 7-year-old last week in St. Louis has prompted community meetings and candlelight vigils, but the attention has not resulted in any arrests. Police are hoping that the spotlight on that shooting will prompt people to come forward with solid leads in the case. FEMA will begin going door to door to register Missouri flood victims after being approved by the president on Friday. Victims can also register online or by calling FEMA. University City is looking to find a permanent location for its police force after the beginning of the fiscal year on the 1st of this month. Plans are to either renovate the historic annex or build a new facility altogether. An Amtrak train struck a vehicle on the tracks in Jefferson County this morning at about 6. The Texas Eagle train had 168 passengers on board at the time of the accident, but no injuries were reported. This news update brought to you by the Traffic Law Center. Traffic tickets are no fun. Call right now or text Ticket1. That's 842-5381, 314-TICKET1, or 618-TICKET1.
Tired of your knee or back pain? Learn how an insurance-covered comfortable knee or back brace can reduce your pain. No meds or surgery required. Get a free fitting now. Call 800-888-KNEE. 800-888-KNEE.
Are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? Lion's Drug now has sildenafil, the same active ingredient in Viagra, for less than $2 per tablet, a savings of over $40 per dose. Lion's Drug is a family-owned pharmacy in Lone Oak, Arkansas, that offers low-cost generics as well as free shipping anywhere in Missouri, Illinois, and Arkansas. For more information, go to lionsdrug.com or call 844-676-2247. That's 844-676-2247.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. Your home is probably the biggest investment you will make your entire life. Why trust an online app to get that right when you can work with an expert? We listen to your needs and we find the right loan for your unique situation. And we'll even come to your home or office to get the loan process started. Apps are great for weather and social media, but they can't pick the right mortgage for you. Let the experts go to work for you. Apply online today at thehomeloanexpert.com. Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, Indiana residential mortgage licensee. The Home Loan Expert, LLC.
Join Premier Builder Supply and the Salvation Army on June 7th at Premier Builder Supply in Fenton for a flood relief drive for the victims still needing assistance. Stop by with a donation between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and join us for free food and drink, prizes, and vendors. Mark Close from The Dave Glover Show will be live from 10 a.m. till noon. Call 636-349-6055 or visit the website for directions, premierbuildersupply.com.
You snore. It interrupts your sleep and the sleep of others. You don't feel rested during the day, and you have no energy at night. Are you tired of the snoring? There are minimally invasive procedures done in the office that may help. Imagine the possibility of a quiet night's sleep. Set an appointment today with Dr. James Gould at the St. Louis Sinus Center. Call 314-449-8761. 449-8761. That's 449-8761.
Well, the folks at ThrottleNet can help protect your business. They might help keep you in business. In fact, speaking with the George over at ThrottleNet recently, talking about these phishing scams, the ransomware attacks that went across the country recently. These are the kinds of things you need to have expert advice on. Can you stop every single one? Maybe not, because they come up with new ways to go about it all the time. So you really have to be aware of those things. However, you can protect yourself in other ways, but by having a proper network set up, by having proper backup set up, maybe backup to the cloud, maybe backup off-site. If you haven't had your network reviewed recently, you need to talk to the folks at ThrottleNet. Let them come in and give you a free review, and then they don't offer contracts, so you don't have to worry about being tied down to anything. If you don't like their work, tell them to hit the door. But at ThrottleNet, Their business model works, and you're going to love it. 866-826-5966 is the phone number, 826-5966, or go to throttlenet.com.
This hour of The Mark Cox Show brought to you by Thomas Helbig, the official St. Louis financial advisor of The Mark Cox Show.
The Mark Cox Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
The Mark Cox Show.
I respect that. We don't agree.
Listen to both sides. Let's get it on.
Is The Mark Cox Show.
And you know who's also frustrated, Martha? Law enforcement, because the bar is so high to prosecute these guys. We have zero tolerance when it comes to child pornography. Why don't we have zero tolerance when it comes to radical Islamic ideology?
Wow, that's a good point there by Brad Thor, the author. I love reading that guy's stuff. I haven't always agreed with everything on him politically. He was a little bit of a never-Trumper before the election, but he makes a good point there. We have zero tolerance in this country for some things that we know cross the line, but not for the likes of radical elements of Islam. It makes a whole lot of sense to me. Welcome back into the Mark Cox Show. Glad that you're with us. We are waiting for the White House press briefing to get underway in just a couple of minutes. We'll bring you updates on that as Sean Spicer gets to the podium. I'm sure there'll be lots of travel ban questions. We're still talking about this hacker who's been arrested and charged now by the FBI, a 25-year-old who apparently took it upon herself. Reality Winner is her name. What were her parents thinking? Maybe she's a boy, they would have named her Big. I don't know. So she took it upon herself. This is somebody who was a Bernie Sanders loving, pretty radical individual based on social media. You have to bear that in mind. I'm going to have a story about this a little later. How often have I told you as a parent, if you have offspring that you're responsible for, stress to them the long-term impact their social media posts can have on their lives. Some people recently got kicked out of Harvard because of what they chose to put on social media. But regardless, this young lady was some sort of an environmental crazy and had a top secret security clearance at age 25, right? The scary thing about that, NBC News today is reporting that that's not unusual. The government's full of them. And you wonder where these leaks are coming from. They need more arrests like this, and maybe they won't have as many of these problems moving forward. We'll talk about that here shortly. At the end of the last hour, we were discussing this intelligence memo that got out, leaked, another leak, that claims the Russian military was trying to hack into U.S. election systems. And Claire McCaskill was just on a minute ago in a hearing. I guess they were getting briefed on this. And of course, this is how you're going to expect a politician to play this. Claire says she, of course, doesn't support this classified information being leaked. But now that we know about it, it seems to be one more domino of evidence, one more piece of evidence in the long trail of dominoes showing the influence the Russians tried to have in our election process. No evidence. Number one, we don't even know who the source of this leak was. No evidence that the outcome of the election was affected by the Russians, at the voting box or otherwise. This hacking had nothing to do with vote tallies or who voted or keeping anybody from voting or falsely inflating vote totals. None of that ever happened. But for the people who are on the crazy Russia train, this is one more piece of evidence of how the Russians were trying to impact our election. Now, do I want the Russians to be hacked into people who deal with software for voting boards or something? No. But let's just be honest about what it is. It's one small piece of whatever onslaught of hacking they think happened recently, but this is not unusual, folks. That the point is, the Russians have been trying to influence U.S. elections since the Kennedy years, since the Soviet Union. None of this is new. I would argue their tradecraft is probably worse now than it was then, although now they have access to the internet. This is one giant Trojan horse to distract people from why Hillary Clinton lost the election. That's what this boils down to. It's a nothing burger. Is that what Hillary Clinton called her email thing? That's what it is. Patrick, thanks for holding on. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hey, Patrick, are you there?
Hey, I wanted to talk about voter fraud, and it's kind of talking about what you were talking about. But it's been something that's been on my mind a long time because it's actually been a big deal, especially this last election cycle. Republicans and conservatives, well, really Republicans, have been part of gerrymandering and redistricting against black votes for a long time. But we've seen a fever pitch raised in the last election, and there was a story out of Alabama where they took away, they passed a state ID law, which I actually disagree with liberals. I think that the state ID law is a good idea. I think that as politicians, if you got to protect people's rights. So actually look at the bill first, and if there's something that's wrong about it, then you compromise and say, well, we got to make sure. But politicians are lazy. No matter if it's Democrat or Republican, they don't want to do that. So I actually disagree on the state ID law. I like them. But what happened in this place in Alabama is a rural farming town, but mostly black. Right afterwards, they shut down every DMV in the area. It would have took hours for any black person in that rural area to vote. They tried to say it was something else, but no one here is a moron. We know why they did it. It was very important to them in that local election. The problem that we have here with voting fraud is there's a disconnect between progressive liberals and conservatives that shouldn't be. The DNC getting illegals to vote is a problem. It can cancel out our vote as Americans. But the worst thing you can ever do is take the right of a black person who is an American, their right to vote.
Patrick,
as a conservative, I should be holding you back. I should be like, Jamie, no, don't do anything crazy. I don't have to worry about that. And that's a shame that
Patrick,
I have to turn to some liberal news to hear about that.
Well, but why would you say that? I would never support stopping anybody from voting who legally has a right to vote. I think we should have 100% voter participation in this country. I would support that completely. And I would never support gerrymandering to try to prevent somebody from voting.
I want to believe that. I want you to do that. I want you to be about that. But conservatives have to start standing up against this type of stuff because this isn't a conservative or liberal thing. I think that's where we mess up at. We keep arguing about certain things. It doesn't matter. Like, for instance, Chinese currency manipulation. Listen, I'm a liberal. But listen, conservatives might have a point on that. That might be very important. But as a conservative, when it's time for you guys to lead, you got to stand up. When Trump goes into a office with a Chinese person and comes out and does a 180 on it, I'm going to need y'all to man up. And it's the same thing with voting. But you guys got to man up. Don't only talk about that. You guys should have been talking about voter fraud and gerrymandering
Patrick,
for a while.
I would never support gerrymandering, but there's been a couple of cases lately where a court has stepped in and said, wait a minute, you can't do this way. We need to fix it. I have no problem with that. I don't live in those states where that's done. That wasn't done in the state of Missouri. I don't have any personal information on that, and I don't think any conservative would tell you they stand for that.
That's an American thing. Like what you just said, you know a little about it because actually some Republicans got in trouble for it and they had to admit that, yes, this is what we did, and we did it big time in this last election.
It happened.
No. It doesn't matter what state. That should be the most important thing to you, Mr. Sir. That should be the most important thing.
What that there that
I'm
there
sorry, I think
that
I
there
got
was
your name wrong, sir. Is it?
It's
your name
Mark.
is Mr. Cox.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if I see a different name. Or
No. Don't worry about it. But the point is that the one of the cases was in North Carolina. I read about that. The Supreme Court rejected a request where the North Carolina legislator had redrawn some districts, and in part they were redrawn at the request of people who wanted to make sure that there was a minority representative in that district. You understand that? But the Supreme Court ruled that they relied too heavily on race, and they had to redraw the maps. That probably hurt minorities that they had to redraw the maps. Do you understand that? Gerrymandering's not always a bad thing.
But what I'm saying is there's a ton of stories, 10 times more than that, where black people were isolated.
See, I would disagree with that, Patrick. I would offer you the opportunity to come up with the proof of dozens of situations where that happened, because I read.
Told you the proof. This is the problem. I just told you the proof. You can look it up.
I'll look it up.
This is my problem. I shouldn't have to do this because this is a very popular story, but it's not on your channel.
Where did this happen recently? I just typed in gerrymandering into the Google News search, which is one of the more liberal news searches here that you can do, and I'm looking for this situation.
It don't bring you anything.
What?
I mean, it's not, you said it's liberal. Google's not liberal.
Google is very liberal.
I don't think it has a bias. It's going to bring you anything.
Sure it does. No. See, that's the problem. You're not aware of that, but it is. That when you go to the Google News search and you just randomly hit news, it will give you lists of stories with the most liberal news coverage of those stories.
You know what? Look up. We was talking about. It was on your show. It was talking about that Confederate statue. If you look up something like taxes and the Civil War, you'll get some sites that say the Civil War was fought mostly on taxes. I actually looked at one. That's a complete lie. So it's not always that. It's not always. See, when you say liberal, and this is the problem, I gotta see if you're saying liberal news or you saying real news.
Because you think if it's liberal news, it's real news?
It doesn't matter if you're conservative liberal. It's all about the truth, sir.
It's all about, absolutely. But if it's got a liberal bent, it's not always the truth. Patrick,
I'm not talking about a liberal bent. I just think that conservatives tend to run into this problem all the time. This is a lot of part of this is why we're so frustrated. I feel the conservatives are more frustrated. Actually, I don't feel frustration with conservatives because y'all seem to be more upset with the people y'all vote for more than anything. But that's just politics. That's just politics.
Patrick,
people think we have politics in D.C. We have businessmen in D.C.
I would love to continue this conversation with you.
You're not making a politics decision or a moral decision. You're making a business decision.
Feel free to call back anytime you'd like, and I'll be happy to take your call. I got to go to a break, but I appreciate the call. Wow. There was a lot to chew on there. So conservatives pick stories they cover based on business. Interesting. Just proves that Patrick doesn't know a whole lot about me. There was one story today about Alabama lawmakers submitting new legislative district lines to a federal court after being accused of racial gerrymandering. And this was actually struck down back in January, so this is not new news. Just the new lines were submitted today. It's not any news story that I've chosen to ignore. I get to the stories that are important and the stories that you need to hear. 314-969-9797. I will get to more of that for you coming up here in just a couple of minutes, plus a little more on the background of this national security leaker named Winner. Is she a winner? We'll talk about it when we come back.
The Mark Cox Show on FM News Talk 97.1, 98.7, AM 1490, and 97.1talk.com. dependable weather.
Clouds take control today. Chance of a couple of spotty
with Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray.
Brought to you by Air Comfort Service. Save up to $2,225 in rebates, plus 0% financing for 60 months on a new system. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Hey, O'Fallon, your wait is over. Check out the newest Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in O'Fallon. The new store is now open on Highway K, just north of 5Z Road, next to Potbelly Subs. Haircuts are just $12. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in O'Fallon, it's wicked awesome.
I'm Jim Evinger, CEO of Renew Sleep Solutions. Are you sleeping on the couch because of your loud snoring? Is your sleep apnea keeping you from getting deep, restful sleep? Do you have a CPAP, but it's sitting in the closet because you can't stand the mask and hoses? Then I've got good news for you, because Renew Sleep Solutions is now helping people just like you in St. Louis. Our Renew Sleep system is FDA cleared, compact, and comfortable. It's custom fit just for you and proven to stop snoring and treat your sleep apnea without a big, bulky CPAP mask or painful surgery. Our services are covered by most medical insurance. There's no mood-killing mask, no pain or downtime, just a better night's sleep for you and the loved one next to you. I've seen it change thousands of lives, and yours can be next. Feel great again, St. Louis. Learn more at renewsleep.com or call 314-824-0700. That's 314-824-0700 or go to renewsleep.com.
Let me tell you about the Range St. Louis West. Now, one thing that they're letting people know about is their new membership option that they have right now. I mentioned it to you before. You join for as little as $25 a month. You're getting a reduced range rate. You're getting savings on ammunition. You're getting savings on all the training programs that they offer at the range, right out there in the 14803 Manchester Road in Baldwin. Here's the great deal, though. Every month, they're going to come up with a new one of these bunker bonuses, they call them, MOBBs, members only, bunker bonus. Here's the one for June. Big ammo discounts, over $100 off the regular price for 1,000 rounds of .380 or 9mm. You get $97 off 1,000 rounds of a 40 caliber, $50 off 500 rounds of 45 caliber. Those are the kinds of deals that you're going to get because you remember the range. You can cash in on those deals every month. You're going to get a discount on training, whether it's advanced concealed carry or girls just want to have guns, whatever the case may be. Educate yourself. Get out there, get the training, find out just exactly what the difference is between the training they're doing at the range and some of the other facilities in the area, because it is a big deal. Now, if you buy a gun from them, you get a free 30-day membership. So be sure and watch their program that runs right here on FM News Talk 97.1, Saturdays, 7 o'clock, right after the Annie Fry Show. It's called Downrange with John and Ron. Go to their website to find out more, therangestl.com.
If you're retiring in the next 5 years, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, First Vice President Investments with Stifel and host of On the Money, heard every Saturday from 11 till noon on FM News Talk 97.1. Retirement is a huge step, and when it comes to investing your retirement assets, you can't afford to make mistakes. It's vitally important that you work with an experienced professional to guide you through the important retirement decisions. If you're retiring soon, let's meet to develop a clear plan for your retirement goals. Your meeting is an opportunity to understand your retirement options and receive my personal recommendation on how you should proceed. Of course, your consultation is free of charge and requires no obligation on your part. If you're retiring in the next 5 years, now is the time to review your plan. To schedule your free retirement plan review, visit bobstockdale.com or call me at 636-448-7655. That's bobstockdale.com or 636-448-7655. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
Are you struggling to know when it's time for assisted living? The Bridge at Florissant. Here's our resident, Barbara.
People wait too late to make the decision. So I would tell someone, it's never easy just to say, okay, now's the time. We all have different seasons in life. And when the season comes that it's not safe anymore, face it. So we made the big decision and came, and we never regretted that.
The Bridge at Florissant. 314-831-0988.
Brian Kilmeade here for Smile Advantage, a membership-based dental savings plan that's simple and affordable. This plan is perfect for seniors and employees without dental benefits. Why pay a third party for your dental care? Take back control of your oral health and keep costs down by turning to Smile Advantage and do it with a provider. There are many offices throughout St. Louis now offering these membership plans. Your cleanings, exams, x-rays included, and you'll receive discounts on additional treatment. It's clear, concise, and affordable. Ask your current dental office if they offer Smile Advantage or find an office that does at mysmileadvantage.com.
Hey guys, Glover here. Join Close and me at the Beef Jerky Outlet in St. Charles this Sunday for Beef Jerky Day. We'll be there from 1 to 3 p.m. with samples from their wall-to-wall selection of premium flavors and varieties. Get all the details at 971talk.com. We'll see you Sunday.
Maybe the sky's falling down around the babies. Maybe the world is gonna spin out of control. I don't care anymore. What if I quit today working for the man and said I had enough of, well, maybe
You're listening to The Mark Cox Show. Follow Mark on Twitter at MarkCox971.
What we know is that at around 4:40 in the afternoon in Paris, a man, as you say, armed with a hammer, began threatening passers-by and police in this very busy, iconic tourist location just outside Notre Dame Cathedral. It was only when he attacked a policeman, wounding him in the head, that other armed policemen opened fire. And we know that they shot him twice in the chest, and that attacker is still alive, though wounded, and he's been taken on to hospital.
That is the latest report on the attacker outside of the Notre Dame Chapel Cathedral there in Paris. As he tried to attack, that's some of the sound from the scene there. The man who attacked him has been, with a hammer, has been shot and was apparently screaming, this is for Syria, as he was attacking people. He was an Algerian student, that's in parentheses, who was also in possession of a couple of kitchen knives and other what they call unsophisticated weapons. At least one policeman was slightly injured. And police have put up a counterterrorism inquiry. The assailant claimed to be a soldier of the Caliphate, presumed to be a reference to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Or ISIL, as President Obama used to refer to it, right? The Islamic State of Iraq and Levant. So it's happened again here just recently, this time in France. I have to tell you, if you're just joining us here on the show and you didn't get a chance last hour to hear Katie Hopkins from the Daily Mail, had her on the show, and it was really timely because I had her scheduled since yesterday, and then, of course, this latest attack happened. And she had some powerful things to say about the attitude in Europe when it comes to the radical elements of Islam. She also had some powerful things to say about the mayor of London. Now, if you are plugged in and you pay attention, you know that London elected its first Muslim mayor recently. Sadiq Khan is the guy's name. He's the one who at one point said the world was just going to have to get used to a certain level of terror. Remember, that's his excuse. Katie had some eye-opening things to say about this guy that I didn't realize. There used to be an attorney who specialized in defending these terrorists when they committed their actions. Now he's been elected to mayor. And he hates Donald Trump and is trying to keep Donald Trump from ever being invited to London again because he doesn't like his point of view. This was a pretty telling interview. Yesterday, Fox had on a guy named Majid Hawaz. He is an admitted former radical extremist. This is what he had to say. He called what's going on in Europe an insurgency. Listen to this. Whoops, hold on.
Wife saying I'm fine.
Hang on, just a second, Liz. Let's try that again. This guy called what's going on in Europe an insurgency. Listen.
And I think we have to come to terms, Martha, with the fact that Europe, Britain and the rest of Europe are in the midst of a full-blown jihadist insurgency. You were citing figures earlier that our security services are attempting to monitor around 23,000 suspected jihadists. That, by the way, is out of a population in the UK of just 5% that are Muslim, which means that 23,000 from 4 million Muslims in this country, and around those 23,000, that's those who are jihadists, around them will be those who sympathize with the ideology, Islamists, who believe in establishing a caliphate, and around them, those who empathize with their friends who happen to be Islamists. If that's not insurgency levels, I don't know what is.
This is from a guy who's a former extremist. Who talks about the caliphate and the call for it and what these folks believe. And here might have been the most important thing that he said. Because he's been on the inside, he understands what the training is in some of these mosques. What do you hear most often? That these are the people that do this have a mental illness. Have you heard that argument? These are just people who have a mental illness and don't know any better. Listen to what this guy, former Islamic extremist, had to say about that argument.
It's an absolute insult to people who suffer from mental illness, the majority of whom, by the way, medically, statistically, we know the majority of people who suffer from mental illness are not violent. In fact, they are the victims of violence. And it's an insult to people who suffer genuinely from medical conditions of mental health issues to accuse or to scapegoat terrorism as simply loners who are suffering from mental health. It may be a bit of that involved, but frankly, in every case we look at, there are networks involved. Radicalization has happened. These jihadist terrorists are indoctrinated by an ideology that believes first and foremost that their particular and very specific view of Islam must be imposed on everybody else and by force when necessary.
Majid Hawaz, former Islamic extremist who was on one of the Fox programs this weekend. There's something to what they say. There's something to what Katie Hopkins has to say about the situation that's gone on in Europe, and something to the argument that in America we have to put up with this. And you know, I've said this before. I've certainly had some issues with John McCain, but his daughter Meghan hits the nail on the head sometimes. And this morning they had somebody on the show who was trying to claim that the president's travel ban goes too far and it's discriminatory, all this. Meghan McCain went sideways on this lady. Listen to this.
What we know is that at around 4:40...
Whoop, I must have... titled that one wrong. I apologize. I'll go back and find it and I'll play it for you. But she just went sideways talking about the fact that this has been far too common for people to continue to excuse it as just something that's going to happen like that mayor in London has. And that Americans have the right to be suspicious of people that want to come into this country where the predominant ideology is one of is anti-Western. And there's no reason for us to be ashamed about that when it comes to this travel ban. Let me get to Dave, who's been holding on. Dave, you're on the radio.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
I always enjoy the show. I just had heard one of the previous callers mention that Google is not a liberal source, and a pretty good example that shows that I think it is. I'm a concealed carry firearm business owner here in Florissant, Missouri.
Okay. Thank you.
I've been doing Google ads for about a year, and you only get about 2 lines. There's a company name, and then, you can put underneath it summer special with some price or whatever. Well, I changed one option on there, so all it did was have a different wording. Anyway, it got flagged and sent back that it was banned for policy violation. I said, well, what is this? And I thought it was maybe one of my competitors was, doing something to flag it. Anyway, I chased it down, looked up my account settings, contacted support from Google, and finally got a call back, not an email, but a call after using the chat window also. And they said, you cannot have a picture of a gun on your home page. and I didn't even have a picture of a gun. My company logo was made up of little like cartoon guns that form the letters of the company.
Okay.
That was it. I couldn't believe it. And I saved all the chat window because I thought, I'm going to have to prove this. Nobody's going to believe that this actually happened. But that was it. They killed my Google advertising, and they said the only recourse I had for competitors was go and report every single ad that I find, which I did, and they did not take them down, by the way.
No, they did not. No, I'm glad you pointed that out because not only in their business practice do they do that, do they shut down people that they don't agree with, but they filter them on their news feeds too.
Sure, I have no doubt of it.
Yep. Dave, thank you for the example. I appreciate that. Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. There's a conservative business owner telling you what I've observed from the news point of view. He's observed from the ad point of view on Google. Yeah, that's the PC-ness that has slipped into the country. I mentioned this a few minutes ago. I'll just go ahead and mention it again. Did you read the story, Liz, about what happened at Harvard? That they had 10 or 12 people they had admitted to Harvard. Can you imagine how hard it is to get into Harvard? I forget how many people apply versus how many people actually get in. And the kids got, I guess they had a chat room where they could all get to know each other who were going to be the incoming class. And a few of them created a separate chat room that had some non-political. I'm not defending what they put on the chat room, but the point is they got on social media, they created their own group, and they talked about some things that made the school uncomfortable. The school pulled their offers from all of them. So like a dozen kids. And the only reason I bring it up is not to defend what the kids did, but to point out something that I bring up to my child all the time. And that is very simple, that you need to, very simply, that you need to tell your children that what they talk about on social media can come back to haunt them. And this is a great example of it. Listen.
It's not clear how the university learned about the chat, but the Tab reported that some students in the group created screen grabs and sent them to the admissions office. The school withdrew the acceptance offers in April, according to the Crimson. Harvard declined to comment, saying it never addresses the admission status of any individual, but accepted applicants are warned that any acceptance can be withdrawn if an admitted student engages or has engaged in behavior that brings into question their honesty, maturity, or moral character.
So my point there is maybe your kid's not going to Harvard. Maybe they're going to Mizzou or SIU, Carbondale or SIUE. It doesn't matter the school. Would you ever hire anybody these days without searching their social media feeds first? No. That's the point I made to my son. If the threat of being kicked out of college is not great enough for you in this PC culture, consider what an employer is going to do one of these days. Because those posts that you put out there on social media, they live forever. If you don't believe me, go Google your name. See what you come up with. Do your own search of whatever has been put out. People can find this stuff. Now they hire companies to find it so that they don't hire you now and find out 3 weeks from now that you had something unacceptable on social media. And that's the danger. That's why I want to mention that. Got to get to a quick break here. Jim, Steve, hold the line. Got a couple lines open. 314-969-9797. I will get to your phone calls right after this.
Babies, maybe the world is gonna spin out of control. I don't care anymore.
This is the Mark Cox Show.
Said I had enough, well, maybe I can, 'cause it's all gonna end anyway. Tell me, doctor, what's the cure?
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather with Dave Murray.
What a difference a day makes here in St. Louis. Tons of sunshine, cooler with lower humidity. Just a delightful day. Summer takes the back seat for a couple of days. 78 for the high. Tonight, clear, cool, comfortable, down to 55 degrees. Wednesday, sunny and nice. 80. Sunny and nice Thursday, 82. I'm Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray for FM News Talk 97.1.
The Mark Cox Show is sponsored in part by Granite Transformations. Let them transform your kitchen, bath, or commercial space. Explore the wide selection of products in their beautiful showroom in Chesterfield or online at granitetransformations.com. They have the perfect solution for your next project. Well, let me tell you about my experience over at Victory Men's Health. I've been going there for about 5 months now. Down about 12 or 13 pounds, down 3 or 4 inches off the waist. That's fantastic in and of itself, but I've just got more energy. Feel better. Went in there, saw their urologist. They have a urologist on staff, which a lot of these companies don't. Took a blood work, brought back the full blood panel, showed me where there were deficiencies and what we needed to work on, and then they chart a course to get you back on track, to feeling like yourself. That's what they do at Victory Men's Health. I'm not alone. They had a 30-year-old former football player, owns a CrossFit gym. Imagine the kind of shape this dude's in. Comes in, though, they did his blood work. His testosterone level was in the 200s. That's the equivalent of a 70-year-old man. They're able to fix things like that at Victory Men's Health. They can help with low energy, erratic sleep patterns, erectile dysfunction, joint pain, decreased sex drive, whatever the problem is. And now they've got that new Priapus shot that also helps with ED that they can do right there in the office for you. So call them, check it out, set an appointment, see what they can do for you at Victory Men's Health. Easy to get to, just off Greenmount Road, right over in the Metro East. That is victorymenshealth.com.
Hey, would you buy a house without looking inside? Well, of course not. Well, shouldn't you be just as diligent when choosing a financial advisor? Hey, it's Sean Hannity here, and just as a house is more than 4 walls, well, a financial advisor is more than just a nice office. Now, what's their background? Do they work in your best interest as a fiduciary? What's their financial specialty? Now, you want to know all these things because the chances are over your lifetime, you're going to trust them with far more than the value of your home because knowledge and experience count for a lot in retirement income planning. Here in St. Louis, you need to know Ken and Lori Heisey and the team at the Heisey Advisory Group. Call them now at 314-328-6000. That's 314-328-6000. Don't be cavalier with your financial assets. Heisey Advisory Group, 314-328-6000.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Heisey Advisory Group are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Have your current tax issues been keeping you up at night? Hi, I'm Lance Drury, and I'd like to help you resolve your tax burden and finally have some peace of mind. Tax problems are legal problems. I'm a local tax resolution attorney with over 30 years of legal experience. I've helped hundreds resolve their issues with the IRS and Missouri Department of Revenue, and I can help you. We'll meet face-to-face right here at my office in St. Louis. Your first visit is free and confidential. We'll work together on a strategy to resolve your tax problems, and just like a white oak, I have deep roots in tax resolution law. I know your rights, I know the law, and I get results. So if you've been accused of tax evasion, tax fraud, facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, act now. Go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com, or call me, Lance Drury, 314-238-7360.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey, it's Michael Mohan with Community Mortgage. Let me throw some numbers at you. Start with the number 3. As in fixed rates, still in the 3s. Home prices are up, and it's time to use that equity to take cash out for a remodel or to pay off debt before the next Fed rate hike. Next number, 0, as in you pay 0 closing costs, 0 lender fees, 0 appraisal fees, even 0 title fees. How about more zeros, as in 0 PMI? If you're in the market to buy a home, I can also get rid of the dreaded private mortgage insurance, giving you a lower payment so you can get a better house. Now, the number you need to unlock a better mortgage, my phone number, 314-336-6050. Whether you are refinancing, buying a home, or need to take cash out, call Michael Mohan at Community Mortgage, 314-336-6050. 336-6050. Online at communitymortgagestl.com.
Community Mortgage, LLC. APRs in the 3s. NMLS 224-143-2503-353.
The Hate Trump Lens.
Weeknights 7 to 9.
Take a look at this. What do you think? Sean Hannity. It's almost hard to believe.
Focus on what is important here.
Weeknights 7 to 9
on FM News Talk 97.1.
Everything.
You're listening to The Mark Cox Show. Find everything Mark Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
At KFYR in the Dakotas.
Hi, Sean. Good to talk with you. I host a radio show here in, as you mentioned, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Northern Plains, and have the blessing of talking to listeners every day who are enormously frustrated right now with the way that Washington works. Like the president, they're not fond of the swamp. I'm curious if the infrastructure debate will be different. The president focusing on that. Our governor will be part of the governors and mayors that are coming on Thursday. Does he?
So that is, we joined the White House press briefing live there just about the time they went to some radio talk show host from the Dakotas. Apologize for that. I was hoping we could get you something juicy. But Spicer was talking about a moment ago was a meeting that Donald Trump had been involved with the key Republican leaders. And let me get you to put Jason Church on the mic here for me a minute ago. Jason, you actually got one of the alerts on this. What were they claiming had happened in this meeting?
Yeah, they were talking about basically the healthcare issue, and it says White House briefs reporters amid a big meeting between President Trump, congressional Republicans on healthcare and tax reform.
Good. Maybe setting them straight. Maybe Spicer said something on that a minute ago. I've got Frank Ladd back there monitoring this news conference for me, and as good information comes out of it, he's going to capture those sound bites and give them to us here in the studio so we get it on the air for you. So I will give you the latest on that as it comes in. I will tell you this. The U.S. has just done a couple of more strikes in Syria. A couple more military strikes have happened over in Syria. I'm guessing there will be a couple of questions about that as well. So we'll monitor this whenever we get some updated information. We'll let you know because right now we don't have it. I don't want to just listen to random questions from North Dakota. Let me get to the phones here. Folks have been holding on for a while. Let me see. Jim, you're on the air.
Hey, Mark, what's going on?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, I wanted to maybe get a comment from you about what you think your gun-toting followers would do if there was an attack like that here in the United States someplace.
What
do you think they'd cower and run, or do you think some of them would jump up and kind of take charge, or what?
Well, I think we've seen plenty of evidence that people are willing to defend themselves if they've taken the training and have the wherewithal to carry a weapon. Is that your question? I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that terrorists wouldn't get as far in America unless they went to a gun-free zone as they have in Europe. Nobody in Europe's
that's pretty much what I'm covering.
Well, nobody in Europe's going to have a gun unless they happen to be a police officer. You'll be lucky if there's one who happens to be walking down the street who's armed. Apparently, they give them the option in London of carrying a gun or not.
Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't know the rules over there, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a good point, Jim. Thank you for the phone call. I mean, you got to think about traveling over there right now. I've got some good friends who just left for a trip to Europe. Two good friends. One's in Spain, and the other one's going to Italy. And while Spain and Italy haven't specifically had problems recently in the past month or two, it would have to be in the back of your mind. How would you're a sitting duck. They know in Europe you're a sitting duck. Getting a gun over there is extraordinarily difficult, apparently, unless you're part of a well-trained radical Islamic organization and they sneak you a gun somehow. They've only recently started arming the London Bobbies, just in the last couple of years. And that's a specific team that carries guns, and others can opt not to. So there's just a tad bit of insanity to that approach, as far as I'm concerned, when people are walking around with knives and driving cars into people. They're going to weaponize something. If they can't get their hand on a gun, they're going to weaponize something. Would you rather be facing it armed or not? There's a report, and I've got to confirm it. I read it earlier there's a link on the Drudge Report. that when that van, when part of the people were being knifed the other night, there were some officers who were unarmed who didn't have anything to do with it. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that there would be a different outcome in the United States. I'm not sure what Jim meant by my gun-toting listeners, but I'm sure there are many of you out there who exercise your Second Amendment right. Matt, thanks for holding the line.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. Hey, I just wanted to comment. I think one of the things that, brought a lot of people to Trump's campaign in a lot of ways is part of his non-interventionist foreign policy and some of the things where, he talks about a lot of some of the quagmires that come up in the Middle East. My concern is that, some of these things are going to bring us more into the fold, and I think, unfortunately, we might see more terrorist attacks than we see less. So I hope that he doesn't completely abandon his non-interventionist ideas.
So, for example, putting more troops on the ground in Syria or maybe back in Afghanistan, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the entire Middle East. I think that if you look at it just historically, we're in worse shape probably in the Middle East, and Obama certainly owns a lot of that, but so does Bush. I hope that he doesn't kind of continue that, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama doctrine. I hope that there's a lesson learned there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Matt, I hope you're right. Quite frankly, I don't want to see us get back in something like that either. And thank you for the phone call. I guess the other place I'd go is that you can't win any war with air support. You just can't. And I'm not for another Afghanistan war or another Iraq war, whatever the case may be necessarily. But if you find yourself in a situation where stamping out ISIS is something the U.S. is going to have to do on its own, they're going to have to get more troops involved. I don't know that there's any way around that. John, thanks for calling.
Hey, Mark. Hey, I don't know you or the listeners will know this, but in England, my son he's in the Air Force, and he just finished up over there his service in England, and it's unlawful to even carry a pocket knife.
Really?
Absolutely. You will be arrested if you have a pocket knife on you.
I was unaware of that.
Well, it might only be the military. I'm not sure, but that's what he told me. I just find that kind of bizarre. You can't even have a pocket knife.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, most people probably wouldn't carry a pocket knife for protection, but I guess if you had nothing else, you could use that.
Well, I'm just saying some of the laws and the rules that they have in these other. He's in Singapore now. Chewing gum's illegal. Don't spit on the ground either, because you're not allowed to spit on the ground.
Yeah.
But Singapore is absolutely beautiful, and the crime rate is so low because the penalties are so high.
Isn't Singapore where they were caning people at one time? Wasn't that where that was?
I know if you have a certain amount of marijuana on you, enough to maybe consider to be distributed, is punishable by death.
Wow. Hey, John, thank you for the call.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if it was Singapore specifically, but it was might have been the Arab Emirates. One of those countries where there was a couple that was being caned because they were suspected of being gay. Which is why I think it's very interesting sometimes the debate we have in this country over human rights. And the large crowds and the protesters would lead you to believe that this is the worst place in the world to live because of the poor human rights that LGBTQ people have to go through over here. Are you kidding me? Have you looked around? So, speaking of Nikki Haley and human rights, she's threatened to pull the U.S. out of the Human Rights Council if they don't stop ignoring human rights violations like the one I just mentioned and instead focus on passing resolutions against Israel. She's like, grow up, get over yourself, or we're out of here because this is ridiculous. Good for her. All right, quick break. Still trying to get a hold of William LaJeunesse from Fox. He's covering a story about California trying to completely go off the rails and start their own individual single-payer healthcare system out there. These people are crazy. Of course, we'll get to Tony Colombo and the results of our Twitter poll. All that, go vote at Mark Cox 971, at Tony Colombo 971. We'll be back right after this.
So hold tight, ooh, baby, hold tight.
This hour of the Mark Cox Show brought to you by Thomas Helbig, the official St. Louis financial advisor of the Mark Cox Show.
Well, out getting my house ready for a graduation party. I've been mowing and I've been spraying my fence down and getting everything fixed up. And the one thing I haven't had to worry about is the paint on the house because I got Rhino Shield applied to my house about 8 years ago. So I'm well into my 25-year transferable warranty, guaranteed not to chip, crack, or peel. That's what they give you with Rhino Shield. You can't get a warranty that long with just about any other product. That's why I think it's great, and it's something you should look at. Several of my neighbors have had Rhino Shield applied after they saw my house. So call Darren right now because they're booking out for summer. They have special financing, 18 months without interest. Mention Mark for their summer special savings program. And Darren will come to your house with his fancy iPad, and he will show you these before and after pictures. In fact, you can see some of them online at how great this product looks, but how durable it is, which makes the big difference. So call them at 877-25-RHINO or just go to their website at 877-25rhino.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. Why do so many of the area's top realtors use the home loan expert as their preferred mortgage lender? Easy. They get it. The real estate market is hot and homes are selling the first day on the market. If you're even considering buying a home, it's time to get pre-approved today. It's never been more important to make sure you're working with a strong mortgage lender. Get pre-approved today at thehomeloanexpert.com. Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, Indiana residential mortgage licensee. The Home Loan Expert, LLC.
Now open ENT Now. You need same-day care for ear, nose, or throat conditions? Well, the ENT specialists at Sound Healthcare Services are here for you at 12 convenient locations around the metro area and now at ENT Now, a new walk-in clinic at Manchester and 270 right there in De Pere Square. No appointments necessary. Open 7 to 7 Monday to Friday and Saturdays 8 to 1. Walk in or call for a time, 729-0077, or check it out at soundhealthservices.com. ENT care, just minutes away.
Join me, Thomas Helbig, along with Mark Cox and Mark Close for the Protecting Your Retirement educational event Thursday, June 22nd at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. This is a seating limited event, so you need to hurry. Call right now to reserve your space, 855-755-1555. Are you retired or nearing retirement and wondering how to generate the most guaranteed income? Do you have a clearly defined retirement income plan? Are you also wondering how a market correction will affect your retirement? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 or older, you don't want to miss this special event. You'll also receive a copy of the book I co-authored with Brian Tracy titled Uncommon. It's about common sense but uncommon knowledge. Protect your retirement nest egg and join me along with Mark Cox and Mark Close on Thursday, June 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Frontenac Hilton. Call 855-755-1555 or visit retirementkey.com. That's 855-755-1555 or online at retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM, Florissant, KFTK AM East St. Louis, K254CR St. Louis. Powered by Window World. FM News Talk 97.1.
U.S. warplanes take action in Syria. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Pentagon just confirming coalition airstrikes on pro-government forces in Syria for the second time in a month, saying those forces, this time backed by Iran, were targeted after entering what's supposed to be a restricted area near a coalition base in southern Syria. A Pentagon statement says the pro-regime forces ignored several warnings. Meantime, a long-awaited U.S.-backed offensive to retake the de facto ISIS capital in Syria is now underway.
The Kurdish-led forces have surrounded Raqqa from the west, east, and north. SDF forces began advancing toward the city in November and have captured large areas near Raqqa.
Fox's Jessica Gallagher. The Raqqa operation was launched on the 73rd anniversary of the D-Day invasion in World War II.
We all owe the brave troops who were involved in this critical operation an enormous debt of gratitude for the freedom that we all enjoy today.
Spokesman Sean Spicer moments ago at the start of a White House briefing that quickly pivoted to other topics, including Obamacare.
We just don't have time to waste. Obamacare continues to collapse.
President Trump holding a meeting with key lawmakers at this hour as the Senate continues work on its own version of an Obamacare replacement bill. A frightening scene for tourists at the famed Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris.
I was actually at the very front.
They were just checking my bag. I was the next one to come inside, and there were 3 gunshots. I turned around, and there was an assailant on the ground. He had been shot.
That attacker, who was armed with a hammer and knives, was taken to a hospital. Police launching a counter-terrorism investigation in Paris. They have not confirmed any links to extremism, ISIS, or other groups. They say the attacker shouted, "This is for Syria," at the scene. Fox News, fair and balanced.
When you're hiring for a growing business, you don't need lots of candidates. You need the right candidates. You need Indeed.com. With an algorithm that positions your job post where quality candidates are and screener questions that help you zero in on the best talent. Indeed.com, the site proven through an independent study to deliver 5 times more hires than any other. New users claim your $50 credit for a sponsored job at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
If you're like me, there are a few pieces of advice that stick with you. Be yourself. Always double down. Do ordinary things in extraordinary ways. My dad told me that one, and I'll never forget it. This Father's Day, help make your dad's mornings extraordinary with a Harry's shave set. Each limited edition set has everything he needs for a great shave, including a signature razor, an engravable razor stand, and much more.
Head over to harrys.com and help make Dad's Day extraordinary. Use the code 2020 when you check out, and you'll even get $5 off your set. That's harrys.com, code 2020.
97.1 News Time 2:03. Good afternoon. I'm Jason Church. The prescription drug assistance cuts due to go into effect on July 1st have many elderly Missourians worried about how they'll pay for their medications. The AARP has planned an outreach program to let seniors know what they could face when the cuts become active. St. Louis police are asking anyone with information about the shooting on Friday that left 3 dead and a 7-year-old in critical condition to come forward. Police are also asking for help with 6 other murders that happened over the weekend. A man has been found fatally shot near an apartment complex in Ferguson. Captain Dan DeCarley said that officers called to Obama Court sometime around 9 Monday night found the man in a yard near the North Winds Apartments. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. The power's back on for Sauget and Cahokia residents after a car crashed into a utility pole last night. This news update brought to you by the Traffic Law Center. Traffic tickets are no fun. Call right now or text Ticket1. That's 842-5381, 314-TICKET1 or 618-TICKET1.
Tired of your knee or back pain? Learn how an insurance-covered comfortable knee or back brace can reduce your pain. No meds or surgery required. Get a free fitting now. Call 800-888-KNEE. 800-888-KNEE.
Ever heard of a staycation? Let's be real. When you take a staycation, the tropical getaway you've been dreaming of is swapped for the same old routine. You still have to prepare meals, you'll probably run errands, and we both know you won't be able to resist answering those emails. My friend, that is not a vacation. Heck, that's barely a day off. You owe it to yourself to opt for the real deal, and that's what you'll find with FunJet Vacations. Sip an ice-cold margarita and soak in some rays on a warm, sunny beach. Let someone else cook you a culinary masterpiece. You need a complete escape from your daily routine. Discover the FunJet getaway you've been craving at Hyatt Zilara Cancun, where you'll find tequila and rum sommeliers, 24-hour room service, and daily specials from the executive chef. Upgrade from your living room retreat by contacting your local FunJet travel agent or visiting funjet.com/Hyatt Zilara.
Going to the dentist doesn't have to be such a pain. Hi, I'm General Dentist Pete Spolito with West County Dental. For over 13 years, my team and I have been building a strong foundation of trust within our community by treating all of our patients like family. Our ultimate goal is to help you achieve optimal dental and overall health using state-of-the-art equipment like laser and 3D imaging, modern techniques, and a high standard of care. With options like same-day crowns, emergency appointments, dental implants, Invisalign and root canals, rest assured all your dental needs can be met right here in my office. We also offer soothing sedation for those with a higher level of fear. From start to finish, we want to make every moment of your visit as peaceful, painless, and stress-free as possible so you feel right at home.
West County Dental is centrally located. Call today and take advantage of their new patient general or periodontal cleaning special. Learn more at 314-561-9442. That's 314-561-9442. Or visit dentistrystressfree.com.
Hey, would you buy a house without looking inside? Well, of course not. Well, shouldn't you be just as diligent when choosing a financial advisor? Hey, it's Sean Hannity here, and just as a house is more than four walls, well, a financial advisor is more than just a nice office. Now, what's their background? Do they work in your best interest as a fiduciary? What's their financial specialty? Now, you want to know all these things because the chances are over your lifetime, you're going to trust them with far more than the value of your home because knowledge and experience count for a lot in retirement income planning. Here in St. Louis, you need to know Ken and Lori Heisey and the team at the Heisey Advisory Group. Call them now at 314-328-6000. That's 314-328-6000. Don't be cavalier with your financial assets. Heisey Advisory Group, 314-328-6000.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Heisey Advisory Group are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
This hour of the Mark Cox Show brought to you by Smile Advantage. Access to dental care you need at a price you can afford without the hassle of dental insurance. Now in St. Louis in multiple locations. Learn more at SmileAdvantageSTL.com.
The Mark Cox Show.
I want to compliment your show on how fair and level-headed everything you guys talk about.
Who is this guy? He's saying what we've been saying forever.
Maybe what we need from a conservative standpoint is
The Mark Cox Show.
I respect that. We don't agree.
Listen to both sides.
Let's get it on. Is The Mark Cox Show.
We understand, and you've explained several times, that the president likes to have this conduit where he can talk directly to the American people. But does he sometimes cross the line where his tweets become the news, become the agenda, and it actually impedes his ability to get things done?
Well, in the context of your question, I think you helped answer. The president is the most effective messenger on his agenda, and I think his use of social media, he now has a collective total of close to 110 million people across different platforms, gives him an opportunity to speak straight to the American people, which has proved to be a very, very effective tool.
Kafefe. Welcome back to the Mark Cox Show. That was Sean Spicer speaking out on whether or not the president should continue to tweet. One of the questions that he took to they've asked that question quite often. And you know, I've kind of waffled on this a little bit, which is a little unusual for me. I wish he would tweet less. I don't mind him tweeting, but I wish he would go to Kellyanne Conway or someone there on the staff that he trusts and say, hey, do you think I should send this out first? And then if they both agree, go ahead and send it out. But I would agree with Sean Spicer and I would agree with the president that ultimately he faces either holding a news conference himself and saying what he thinks or having his message filtered through a media that is predominantly negative in its coverage of him. You may not like what he tweets. What the media doesn't like about it is that they can't filter the message. What Republicans don't like about it is that sometimes the message is not the one they'd like to unify behind. And I understand that. But he does have a unique problem right now with the national media in this country. Something we can talk about a little more this hour. Glad you're back with us for the last hour of the Mark Cox Show. Lots going on. Got William Lajeunesse from Fox lined up here shortly to talk about how in the world California, which can't pay its bills as it is planning to institute a single-payer healthcare system. Maybe they'll single-handedly fix climate change while they're at it because they do have Governor Moonbeam out there. So you just never know. Anything could happen. Also this hour, wanted to mention the fact that Chesterfield has apparently turned down that sports complex that we talked so much about, the one that Dan Buck and the others were pushing for, and Mike Matheny. In fact, we had the manager on the show talking about it, and there were some steps the city of Chesterfield needed to take, and they apparently didn't feel like the investment group had met a couple of deadlines, so they voted against it and declared the contract for the project void. Would have been a big sports complex out in the Chesterfield Valley, so now you got to wonder if they're not going to be looking around for maybe another venue, or maybe they'll get it worked out. Maybe they're just negotiating. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, right now I want to switch gears a little bit. I've got a little more sound from the president's press briefing today with Sean Spicer. A lot of it focused on London. A lot of it focused on whether or not the president's lost confidence in Jeff Sessions. We'll get to all of that and more here on the show before the end of the hour. Also, I had encouraged you before to go to Twitter, to at Tony Colombo 971, at Mark Cox 971. Very, very fitting as we do that because the Twitter poll is, of course, dealing with these issues today. And it is because the president does tweet a lot, but he also tweeted that we need the travel ban for an extra level of safety in light of what's happened in London and now today in near the Notre Dame Cathedral in France. Do you agree with him? Is he right? That's the question you need to look at. So go to at Mark Cox 971, at Tony Colombo 971. We'll have the results coming up for you here at the end of this hour. So be sure and stick around for that. Let's talk about education in Missouri and whether or not we're doing all we can to help our kids succeed. Brandon Wright is our guest right now from the Thomas Fordham Institute, where they focus on advancing educational excellence. Thomas, Brandon, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Hey, thanks for giving me some time today.
Thanks for having me on.
So we've talked a lot about education and performance. We've obviously got pretty good performing districts in some areas in the state and others that have teetered on the brink of being unaccredited. Where do you guys see the opportunity for improvement?
So a big area pertains to a document that the state will submit to the U.S. Department of Education in September as part of its obligations under the new federal education law, the Every Student Succeeds Act.
Right.
This act replaced No Child Left Behind a little over a year ago, and every state has to submit this document that covers its plans over a number of areas like testing, accountability, and how to improve their lowest performing schools. So
before you move forward, very quickly, for because there was a lot of focus here about not only No Child Left Behind, but some of the other education things that have come down from Washington recently. How is this different? How is this new program different than No Child Left Behind?
So to my eye, one of the greatest things about the new law is finally, for the first time in 20-some years, it gives a lot of autonomy back to states and school districts to decide for themselves what's best for their schools, which obviously makes a lot of sense because they're the ones who are actually there. They're the ones who know their families, their students, their values, and their needs. So whereas under No Child Left Behind, the federal government had a lot of say in terms of what happened at every school, the standards they had to meet, the tests they had to take, et cetera, this law gives a lot more power back to the state. So that, in my eye, is a really great move. It was essentially a bipartisan choice, too, because No Child Left Behind ultimately was so ineffective for so many years. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. So we're suspicious of these things, though, because we're always told we're going to give you more freedom to do what you want, and then we find out that the school boards either aren't doing what we want or they weren't as free to do it as we thought, particularly under the previous administration. So it strikes me that they were sending down mandates to districts on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, so the new Trump and DeVos education administration is not that way at all. They've given every indication that they'll be extremely deferential. They'll do what they have to do under the law, but no more. And so the big challenge, I think, isn't whether they actually have the autonomy they're said to have. The big question is, will states and school districts actually take advantage of the autonomy? And what we're seeing, because 16 states and D.C. have already submitted plans during the first deadline. There was an April one, and then there was a second one in September.
Okay.
What these plans generally show is that because I think these states aren't used to having this freedom, they don't really know what to do with it. So they're just kind of maintaining the status quo. And as I said, the status quo under No Child Left Behind wasn't effective. So that's a big problem. And that's actually what I think leads to the problem with the plan that Missouri seems like is going to submit in September, that it just isn't taking advantage of the freedom it now has.
Yeah, I guess the other program I was referring to was Common Core, which claimed to allow you more flexibility at the local level. So specifically here in the time we have left, what would Missouri have to put in this document that it turns in to kind of get the ball rolling in the right direction? I mean, is it up to the individual district, or is it up to the government down Jeff City to get it done?
So I think it's in some ways both. The state needs to affirmatively give a menu of options to school districts, essentially telling them that they can in fact do these things, and then allowing the school district to choose from them. Essentially, what we're saying in terms of turning around lowest performing schools is changing who's in charge of these schools. You can do that at the school level, the local level, or at the state level. The easiest way to do it at the school level is to convert or replace the school with a charter school. Now, that's not a very big thing in the state at the moment. There are less than 100 charter schools in the entire state.
Right.
The numbers have doubled, I think, over the last 5-10 years, but it's still not a ton. I wish that would expand, but another very local option is essentially taking control of the schools away from the regular district who currently has control over them, instead replacing them with a sort of local leadership team with expertise in schools, giving them more cash and sort of more autonomy, sort of a pseudo charter approach, actually. And we've seen that work in other places across the country. At the state level, it's called a state turnaround school district. Essentially, the state picks and chooses low-performing schools across the state and puts them under this sort of school district that they run. We've seen this work really well in Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina. So all three of these options have proven effective elsewhere in the country.
Well, yeah. That's good. We're talking to Brandon Wright from the Thomas Fordham Institute. The interesting thing about that is in St. Louis, we took away the authority of the school board and we had an appointed board because it was obvious that the local board was not making the best decisions on how to fix the problems. The unions played a role in that because they didn't want the bad teachers or the people that were perceived to be bad teachers. They were protected by the unions and they couldn't be removed. I mean, these problems are at several levels. So if you bring charters in, is it just a matter of more competition? Because I've long been a fan of vouchers. I think vouchers would change everything because these local districts would suddenly they'd have to compete or they wouldn't get to keep the cash.
Yeah, so I think school choice in general is a positive step, be it charters or school vouchers. On the charter front, competition plays a big role in how they improve schools, but because they're also given a lot more autonomy, they can sort of work as like R&D labs where they're trying, where they have the freedom to try new things with different kids and we then see what can work. They also can just replace bad schools.
Right.
So those are essentially the three ways I think charters can improve district schools. But allowing poor kids to also use school vouchers to attend private schools they otherwise couldn't afford is also a good step.
So what's the name of the new education program again?
The Every Student Succeeds Act?
Every Student Succeeds Act. So that's what you need to call. Your people need to call their state legislators and the governor's office and let them know. Put some pressure on them to make sure that some action gets taken before this deadline comes up.
Yep, exactly.
Very good. Brandon Wright, thanks for your time. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep, take care. And, of course, he's with the Thomas Fordham Institute, which is edexcellence.net, if you want to read a little more about them. They clearly are a school choice organization, and they believe Missouri has an opportunity to help its educational process here before this deadline happens. So I know a lot of people feel strongly about that, particularly from the educator's point of view. All right, 314-969-9797. I promised you this earlier. William LaJeunesse of Fox covering this cockamamie story out of California where the state wants to start its own single-payer healthcare system. No idea how they're going to pay for it, but apparently they've even gone so far as to vote on it, at least at the legislative level. And we'll talk to William about how that whole thing would work. We'll get to some of your phone calls. We'll get to our Twitter poll coming up.
The Mark Cox Show on FM News Talk 97.1, 98.7, AM 1490, and 97.1talk.com. Traffic reports at your fingertips. Real-time traffic online. Log on to 97.1talk.com for real-time traffic updates.
Brought to you by Frank Lita Acura with 0.9% financing going on now. Can't beat a Lita. Online at litaacura.com.
Pool time. I know my child has been to the neighborhood pool a number of times now since it opened last weekend. If you've got a pool, though, it's not as simple as that, right? Somebody's got to maintain it. I don't know how you're doing that now. Maybe you've worked with one of the big pool companies in town. Let me recommend a different option. Conservative Pool Services, run by a guy who's an Army veteran, who knows a little bit about hard work, who used to work for one of the big guys and decided that he was going to go off on his own because he thought, you know what? We can do better than this when it comes to customer service. We can respond more quickly, more efficiently. We'll give people my personal cell phone number, that is the owner's, in case they have a problem after hours or on a weekend. Because let's face it, that's often when you're using your pool. That's when you might have a filter problem or a pump problem and you need help. You don't have to get a answering service. You can get a hold of the guy that owns the joint. That makes a big difference. So call Mike at 314-736-5252. See if your current pool service company is giving you the same benefits you can get with Conservative Pool Services. Mention that you heard it on this show. Get 20% off labor on your pool opening or any service calls. It's conservativepoolservices.com.
Right now, you could win $375 million when you play Powerball from the Missouri Lottery. But the only way to win is to grab a ticket before this Wednesday's drawing. So what are you waiting for? You could be a millionaire. Get your ticket today.
When IRS problems become serious problems, you need serious solutions. Lance Drury is here to help. Named top practitioner of 2016 by the American Society of Tax Problem Solvers, Lance will create a specific strategy for solving your IRS problems and navigate the path for IRS tax relief. Lance Drury has handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in the St. Louis area, so you know you're in good hands. Your first visit is completely free and confidential. You'll meet with him in person. When Lance Drury contacts the IRS on your behalf, they'll know that you have an experienced tax resolution attorney who knows your rights. So take action now. If you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call the law firm of Lance R. Drury at 314-238-7360 or go to lancedrurylaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need Lance Drury. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
May is National Stroke Awareness Month. At Renew Sleep Solutions, we want to make you aware that if your obstructive sleep apnea is untreated, you have double the risk of having a stroke, along with increased risk for high blood pressure and heart attack. Renew Sleep Solutions treatment is FDA cleared, compact, and comfortable. It's custom fit just for you and proven to treat your sleep apnea. Call 314-824-0700. That's 314-824-0700 or go to renewsleep.com.
Are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? Lion's Drug now has sildenafil, the same active ingredient in Viagra for less than $2 per tablet, a savings of over $40 per dose. Lion's Drug is a family-owned pharmacy in Lone Oak, Arkansas that offers low-cost generics as well as free shipping anywhere in Missouri, Illinois, and Arkansas. For more information, go to lionsdrug.com or call 844-676-2247. That's 844-676-2247.
Join Premier Builder Supply and the Salvation Army on June 7th at Premier Builder Supply in Fenton for a flood relief drive for the victims still needing assistance. Stop by with a donation between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and join us for free food and drink, prizes, and vendors. Mark Close from the Dave Glover Show will be live from 10 a.m. till noon. Call 636-349-6055 or visit the website for directions, premierbuildersupply.com.
Hey O'Fallon, your wait is over. Check out the newest Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. New store is now open in O'Fallon on Highway K just north of Fisey Road next to Potbelly Subs. Get an unbelievable haircut, hot lather neck shave, and hot towel treatment for just $12. Lady Jane's is unreal. 12 HD TVs, comfy leather recliners, and the best stylists in St. Louis. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in O'Fallon on Highway K just north of Fisey Road next to Potbelly Subs. Walk in anytime, 7 days a week. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men in O'Fallon. It's wicked awesome.
The left has conquered the media.
Weeknights, 9 to midnight.
The left has conquered Hollywood. The left has conquered the classroom.
Mark Levin.
You know it and I know it, and they're fully out of the closet.
Mark Levin. Weeknights, 9 to midnight.
On FM News Talk
97.1.
Listening to The Mark Cox Show. Follow the show on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Mark Cox Show.
London mayor is saying that the president should no longer come on a state visit there. Are there any plans at this point? I know he's been invited.
He has.
Still intending to visit at some
He
point?
appreciates Her Majesty's gracious invitation.
So apparently President Trump has been invited to London by the Queen at some point and is considering going. In the meantime, in case you missed my interview earlier with Katie Hopkins at the Daily Mail, she's just a great reporter, and she really cuts to the truth of what's going on over there. I asked her about this London mayor, who is a Muslim, first Muslim mayor of London. I didn't know that much about the guy, except that the tweets that I've seen where he paints himself as a very moderate person who loves everybody and wants London to be inclusive and all this stuff, right? I didn't really know the truth on him, but Katie, who of course lives in London and has been covering news over there for years, when I asked her about him, her answer really surprised me. And if my sneaking suspicion is it may surprise a few of you. Let's listen to it.
I cannot word this strongly enough. Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, was sworn in on the Quran. He has a history and reputation of defending terrorists when he was a lawyer. He was a consultant lawyer for the 9/11 bomber. He was the legal representative for Farrakhan, a guy who said we should kill all white people. Sadiq Khan campaigned to get him into the UK. The same man that is now campaigning to have the very brilliant Donald Trump not allowed into the UK. I always say that Sadiq Khan has wanted to create his own version of Londonistan, and I think he's doing a very fine job of it.
So that was Katie Hopkins' insight on the mayor there in London. I was unaware of that, I'll have to admit. So that made for some pretty interesting conversation with her earlier, particularly given the fact that he has disinvited the president to London, or doesn't think that he really has any business going over there. Right now, let me get to our guest, William Lajeunesse from the Fox News Channel, who's been covering a story that's developing out in California where they kind of want to go their own way on health care. William, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Mark. Thank you. So, they passed out of the California State Senate a bill which would establish a single-payer, government-run healthcare system out here. No copays, no deductibles, free healthcare for everyone, including people who are here illegally. Problem is, it's about $400 billion, which is about 30% more than the entire state budget. So it's really expensive, and they have no way of paying for it. But still have to pass the assembly, and then, of course, go to Governor Jerry Brown. But, of course, the argument is on behalf of a very blue state.
Right.
And these liberal Democrats in Sacramento is, hey, what we have isn't working, and it's expensive, so let's try something else.
So we saw today where Aetna, for example, is pulled out of Ohio. Do they have that problem in California already with these exchanges? Have they had companies bailing?
It's not quite as bad, but people do have a problem if they're on some exchanges to find a doctor who's willing to take some of the reimbursement rates, which are not as lucrative or generous as maybe some of the private healthcare groups. But all the large employers will be out of business. No Blue Cross, no Aetna, no Kaiser. All the insurance companies will go out of business because it would be run by the state.
Wow. Were they planning on funding? Have they talked any specifics? Were they going to fund it with part of the money they get for Medicaid or Medicare? Or did they say?
It's going to be, they're going to use all the existing sources. So the money that the state currently contributes, the federal government share, the private insurance, or rather the private employer's share of that, what we pay. And then on top of that, there'd be another 15% payroll tax. So
wow,
it would be phenomenally expensive. Now, one thing the Democrats are saying, hey, listen, this is a long way off. We're really sorry, but we need to have this conversation because healthcare in America is a right, and it's not working. So here's the interesting thing, I think, from a more national perspective, because a lot of America could care less about California for good reason. But, that, and I didn't know this, but 112 House Democrats in Congress in Washington have already signed on to a single-payer bill sponsored by Representative John Conyers of Michigan. And New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts all have single-payer bills in their states. And what I'm being told is this is a conversation. People should get used to the terminology of single payer because you may hear it in next year's midterms, but you'll definitely hear it in 2020.
I'll bet. Yep. That's the politics behind it. I appreciate you explaining that. William LaJeunesse with the Fox News Channel will look for your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. Appreciate the call, and good to get him on there. Can you believe that? I had a very interesting conversation with a retired surgeon this past weekend. And it dealt specifically with this idea of health insurance and the reimbursement problems that he faced prior to his retirement, right? He said that if he took a Medicaid case, that the reimbursement for the physician was about 10 cents on the dollar. So if it was a Medicare patient or somebody with private insurance, he was getting $1. And if it was a Medicaid patient, he was getting 10 cents. So that kind of put in focus for me the problems the doctors are facing and why so many of them refuse to help Medicaid patients. Do you have any idea what a single-payer healthcare system in this country would mean? It would be a bureaucratic nightmare for that very reason. I mean, Medicaid is for the poorest of the poor. I understand that. But there's no equivalent health care. If it's the same procedure they're paying for under Medicare, where people are paying a premium each month for that coverage, but under Medicaid, where they're not paying a premium because they're too poor, but the government's providing the health care, they want to reimburse doctors for the exact same procedure at 10 cents on the dollar. Let me ask you a question. I mean, I went to I was on the 5-year plan. I went to college for 5 years, and that's mainly because I switched universities in the middle of it. Physicians go to school for how many years? 8?
Yeah, something
at
like
least.
That.
And then they've got residencies and all that. I mean, some of them are 30 years old in their late 20s before they're ever practicing. And some of them, and I know this from personal experience because of a friend, come out of medical school these days with $300,000 or $400,000 in loans that they've had to go through to go to medical school. Who in the world would subject themselves to that, to then work in a healthcare system like the one that might happen in California, or God forbid, a single-payer system in this country where the government bureaucrats are going to dictate the amount of money you can make per procedure. You know who I want to be the highest paid people in my life? The guy that's going to operate on me and the guy that's flying my airplane. I don't care how much money those two people make. I want them to be the best people in best paid, and I want them to be the best educated. Right? So that just starts to scratch the surface of the problem with a single-payer healthcare system. And that's what these liberals, these Bernie Sanders progressive liberals, are pushing for. Plus, you had Chuck Schumer saying the problem with the expense of healthcare in this country is that we need to put all the doctors on a salary. Can you freaking imagine going through 12 or 14 years of schooling plus all of that to be told by the federal government what the cap is going to be on your ability to make money next year? I'm sorry, we're going to limit you to $150,000 a year because the economy's tight right now and we can't afford to pay you anymore.
I have another place we can tighten our belts.
Where's that?
The same people who are saying we need to put doctors on salary.
Yeah, thank you.
Plus a 15% more. Like when that hits people's pockets.
Well, California's already got to be the highest taxed place in America.
Right. And then another 15% on top of all that. Are you going to even have like a paycheck?
It's all. I mean, I see. I'm glad that William Lajeunesse and a lot of reporters aren't going to go to the trouble to draw your attention to that. But his point was, there's a bill in Congress. There are bills in several state houses across the country in blue states where they're trying to get people used to this idea of some sort of a single payer system. Where the ones in California screwed up is that they let somebody attach a cost to it.
Right.
And people realize the cost of a single payer healthcare system in California would be more than their entire budget right now.
Right.
More than what they pay for education and everything in California.
Yeah.
More than that.
30% more.
Yeah.
From what he said.
Yeah,
and didn't he say this covers non-citizens as well?
Of course. And here's the thing about it. If you're stupid enough...
Why do I want to work anymore?
If you're stupid enough to sign up for a system like that in California, honestly, we should probably let them do it because they'd be bankrupt in a couple of years. But every homeless person and every poor person in America would then move to California. Now, maybe that would facilitate it breaking off a little sooner into the ocean. We wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. It's a thought. I've thought about fencing it off, but I'm not so sure that would work.
Okay, let's not let them know that. Let's just let it happen.
Steve, what's on your mind? Thanks for calling the program.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. Good. What's
up?
I
want to see if I can make a comment on those morons in California. I'm trying to say it nicely. But anyway, what I think should happen, if they want to do this, power to them. Go ahead and knock yourself out. What the Congress should do right now is photocopy whatever it is that they do. The amount of money that the federal government sends to California, and whatever that dollar is, do not send a penny more anytime in the future.
Just freeze it right at that.
What you want to do, you're on your own because the country is not going to bail you out. And maybe that way you can turn around and flip California from being blue morons to some people with a little bit of common sense anyway.
Once it hits their pocketbook, but although they already live in one of the craziest tax states in the country, than maybe New York.
The pocketbook, I don't think they care about that because, I used to deliver furniture and I used to go out there every month and, houses like in our neighborhood out there, it's over $1 million.
Oh, I know. It's nuts.
It's nuts, and they have no yard.
Steve, thank you for the phone call.
All right, take care.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's the housing situation's already crazy out there. Maybe they have enough rich people to afford it, but I don't think so. Not a chance. 314-969-9797. Tony's in here in a few minutes. We'll get the results of that Twitter poll on the president's call for his travel ban and whether or not you think it's the right call based on what we've seen in London and again today in Paris. It's they're starting to add up. The death toll, the victim toll is adding up from this radical Islamic problem that they have in Europe. Don't need that here. We'll be back in just a minute.
This is the Mark Cox Show. Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather with Dave Murray.
What a difference a day makes here in St. Louis. Tons of sunshine, cooler with lower humidity. Just a delightful day. Summer takes the back seat for a couple of days. 78 for the high. Tonight, clear, cool, comfortable, down to 55 degrees. Wednesday, sunny and nice. 80, sunny and nice. Thursday, 82. I'm Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray for FM News Talk 97.1.
The Mark Cox Show is sponsored in part by Granite Transformations. Let them transform your kitchen, bath, or commercial space. Explore the wide selection of products in their beautiful showroom in Chesterfield or online at granitetransformations.com. They have the perfect solution for your next project. Well, even as we speak, I am showing Liz a picture of my new countertop for my bathroom with this fantastic-looking bowl. It's one of the bowls that sits on top of the countertop. It's just awesome. We got it Granite Transformations. It's got the backsplash, the beveled edges, and it replaced that old clamshell-looking sink that we had in our bathroom on the first floor. It completely changed the look of the bathroom. I repainted it. But just that countertop made that big of a difference. That's what Granite Transformations can do for you. They've got one of the most unique products in the country, engineered granite or maybe recycled glass or quartz. They come in, they measure your countertops. When they replace them, when they put this beautiful granite, engineered granite or quartz or maybe Italian marbled look over your existing countertops, it transforms the look of your kitchen. Maybe you've got an idea what you want your kitchen to look like. You want it to be a certain color. You can find a coordinated countertop, a matching pattern or color that you want because they've got dozens to choose from. You pick. We've loved this. We've had it in our kitchen for years. Now we've got it in our bathroom. One of these days, probably in our master bathroom upstairs as well. It's an American product made in Florida, locally built right down there in Fenton. You're going to love it. Call Granite Transformations at 636-728-1100, or you can check out their product on their website at granitetransformations.com.
Hey, it's Michael Mohan with Community Mortgage. Let me throw some numbers at you. Start with the number 3, as in fixed rates still in the 3s. Home prices are up, and it's time to use that equity to take cash out for a remodel or to pay off debt before the next Fed rate hike. Next number, 0, as in you pay 0 closing costs, 0 lender fees, 0 appraisal fees, even 0 title fees. How about more zeros, as in 0 PMI? If you're in the market to buy a home, I can also get rid of the dreaded private mortgage insurance, giving you a lower payment so you can get a better house. Now, the number you need to unlock a better mortgage, my phone number. 314-336-6050. Whether you are refinancing, buying a home, or need to take cash out, call Michael Mohan at Community Mortgage, 314-336-6050. 336-6050. Online at communitymortgagestl.com.
Community Mortgage LLC. APRs in the 3s. NMLS 224-143-250353.
You snore. It interrupts your sleep and the sleep of others. You don't feel rested during the day, and you have no energy at night. Are you tired of the snoring? There are minimally invasive procedures done in the office that may help. Imagine the possibility of a quiet night's sleep. Set an appointment today with Dr. James Gould at the St. Louis Sinus Center. Call 314-449-8761. 449-8761. That's 449-8761.
Mark Cox here, inviting you to join me, Thomas Helbig, and Mark Close for the Protecting Your Retirement educational event Thursday, June 22nd at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. Call 855-755-1555 now to reserve a seat. It's a seating limited event, so you need to hurry. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you retired or nearing retirement and wondering how to generate the most guaranteed income? Do you have a clearly defined retirement income plan? Are you also wondering how a market correction will affect your retirement? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 or older, you don't want to miss the special event. You'll also receive a copy of the book I co-authored with Brian Tracy titled Uncommon. It's about common sense but uncommon knowledge. See you Thursday, June 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Frontenac Hilton.
Protect your retirement nest egg with the official financial advisor of my show, Thomas Helbig, along with myself and Mark Close at the Frontenac Hilton Thursday, June 22nd at 6:30. Call 855-755-1555 or visit retirementkey.com. That's 855-755-1555.
It's the bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Rodriguez steps up to the plate. Here's the pitch.
and it's a high fly ball to center field. Perez is there to make the catch, and oh my, he dropped the ball. I can't believe it. You know, he'll probably never forget this moment as long as he lives. I know the fans won't. Some things you wish you could just take back. Don't let diabetes be one of them. Take charge of your health and reverse your risk for type 2 diabetes today. Learn more at reverseyourrisk.com. That's reverseyourrisk.com.
Jamie Ullman in the morning.
Wednesday, Pamela Geller dropping the bomb on the media and its coverage of terror. Genevieve Wood joining us, KJ and Weber's World, baby.
On FM News Talk
97.1. You're listening to The Mark Cox Show. Follow Mark on Twitter at MarkCox971.
President, what message do you have to Jim Comey ahead of his testimony?
I wish him luck. Thank you, everybody.
What are you worried about? What's your message to Jim Comey before he testifies on Thursday? The president looked in the camera and said, "You're fired for a good reason."
Please clap.
Thank you very much. He made one more comment apparently in this brief opportunity that reporters had to throw him a couple of questions today. Go to cut number 35 on Jared Kushner getting all the headlines these days for the better or worse. Listen.
I'd like to thank the leadership for being with us. Mike Pence, you've been great. I appreciate you being here. Steve, great. I appreciate everything. Jared's actually become much more famous than me. I'm a little bit upset about that.
He was meeting today with House leadership and the Senate leadership. They're supposed to be talking about health care and taxes and that sort of thing. So
that's a good sense of humor.
ABC News is reporting that Comey will stop short of saying that Trump obstructed justice. That's Fox quoting ABC, quoting somebody saying that Comey will stop short of saying Trump obstructed justice.
The game of telephone.
That's what it is. Do you see that? That's what happens all the time. It's like a circular shooting squad in the media. One person reports it based on an anonymous source, and somebody else reports, well, they're reporting this, but they have no idea who reported that originally. In the 24-hour news cycle, that's a problem. They don't have any idea what the source is of that information. So I wanted to play that. But by the way, there's a friend of mine just put a disturbing photo on Facebook, right? It's a picture taken inside a Catholic mass at a cathedral where all the people have their hands raised. Now, that's not unusual at my church on the weekends. People raise their hand during the service, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the slogan at the bottom of it. Here's what your comment was. Yes, they're at mass, but no, they aren't praying to our Father. This is terrorism. This is the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. And when the crazy person out front was yelling Allahu Akbar and attacking police and other people with a hammer, they had to keep everybody inside the mass at the cathedral because they didn't want them to go outside. Plus, they had them all raise their hands because they weren't sure if there were any more inside. So that's what the world is coming to in parts of Europe. Isn't that awful? That's awful. And then this story out of Toronto today. It's in the Toronto Sun. It's dated today's date, but apparently this actually happened on Saturday, and it was slow to filter out. So there's a mall up there in Scarborough in Toronto called the Cedar Brae Mall. And apparently a woman remains jailed on allegations that while masked in an ISIS bandana, she swung a golf club at Canadian Tire employees while screaming threats and Islamic chants. The threats, by the way, were, Allahu Akbar during the assault. She started swinging a golf club at employees and a customer and then pulled a knife out while uttering the threats and ranting Allahu Akbar. This is in good old Canada, up to the north. So, meanwhile, the Canadian Prime Minister was being interviewed on Kelly and Friends, or whatever it's called now, Kelly and Ryan, or whatever they're calling it. And their hard-hitting question to him was, so what does it feel like to be called the sexiest politician alive? That was their hard-hitting interview with Justin Trudeau of Canada. Yeehaw. Let me get to a phone call here. Jay's been holding on. Jay, you're on the radio. What's going on?
Hey, Mark. I work in the financial business, and, we got regulations that affect now compensations on advisors, and we got regulations now on compensation for the healthcare profession. And it seems like you go down any profession these days, and there's regulation.
Sure.
And just on what everybody's getting paid. The one thing I've never noticed, though, is regulations on the lawyers, on the legal profession. I don't see anything happening. And if you look at it, if you're a person that can't afford legal advice, there are systems for, like public defenders and that kind of thing. When it's desperate, the kind of legal advice you get is, I don't know what the quality is. You certainly have no control over it. You're pretty much victim to whoever you get. But I would certainly like to see some regulation. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, I guess is my point. When are we going to see regulations for some of these politicians who came up through the legal system for those guys, too?
Yeah, well, that's why whenever the words tort reform come up, every politician runs from it, because the legal lobby hammers them on it, because tort reform means less payouts and more of a pay control, I guess, for the attorneys, right? I think that's part of it. That's absolutely part of it.
I was just in a building this morning downtown, and there's a legal office there, top floor overlooking the riverfront, had a view of the ballpark, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, who's paying for this?
Yeah. You know who's paying for that. Jay, thanks for the call.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. And Jay's call brings to mind, because he's in the financial services industry. Either tomorrow or the next day, one of the subjects we need to talk about seriously are these Department of Labor standards that have been forced onto retirement accounts, because on the 9th, which is coming up in 3 days, at least one local company, it's going into effect. And at that point, you're going to have to pay a fee if you have a retirement account for them to manage it, or sign a 12-inch thick legal document if you don't, if you're still willing to pay commissions. That's something we need to discuss. Right now, Tony Colombo is in the house with our Twitter poll, which you started yesterday with Chris Arps. What's going on?
So big thanks to our sponsors, Hair Saloon for Men, as always, for making the Twitter poll happen. And, of course, you weren't here yesterday, but obviously big talk over the, on yesterday after the weekend it had to do with the terror attack in London. And the president made some waves with some of his tweets and some of his comments on it. So we asked folks, after the London terror attack, Donald Trump said we needed his travel ban now more than ever for what he called a, quote, extra level of safety. We wanted to know if you believe the president is right. Do we need that travel ban for an extra level of safety? Yes or no? We put yes as one, or no, he's missing the point, because that's what the detractors say, is that no, the travel ban doesn't, he's missing the point with that. 84%, few hundred votes. Big thanks to everybody who voted in the Twitter poll. 84% agree with the president and say yes, we need the travel ban as that extra level of safety.
Yeah. Sebastian Gorka was on with Chris Cuomo yesterday. Great interchange. Gorka ripped him up because Cuomo's argument was, this isn't fair. You just want to do this because they're Muslims. And Gorka said, but these are the same 6 countries the Obama administration identified as a problem. But that's different. That's Cuomo's answer. But that's different. No, it's not different. The previous administration didn't want anybody to. They wanted to watch people come from these 6 countries.
And a
as
lot
well.
of people say, well, a lot of this is homegrown. These were British. Okay, but you can do both. You can combat against homegrown terror and against terror that's coming in. You can fight both.
It's a great point. The DGS coming up, of course, right after the top of the hour news. Stick around for that for Tony and Dave and gang, and we'll see you back here tomorrow, folks. Have a great day. We'll see you back here noon to 3.
It's the same old story, same old song.
This hour of the Mark Cox Show brought to you by Smile Advantage. Access to dental care you need at a price you can afford without the hassle of dental insurance. Now in St. Louis at multiple locations. Learn more at smileadvantagestl.com.
Our thanks once again to the folks at Golden Oak Lending, one of the sponsors of the golf tournament yesterday for the Maryland Heights Police Officers Association to benefit Rankin Jordan. We made a lot of money. We appreciate Golden Oak stepping forward. If you need to refinance your mortgage or you're looking for a new one, let me urge you to call the fine folks at Golden Oak. They've got veteran loan officers who are going to answer the phone. They're going to be able to tell you over the phone if they can help you. They're going to be able to probably pre-approve you over the phone if you're looking to buy a new house, so that when you walk in there this weekend and you find the one you like, you can make an offer on it right then and there. That's kind of what you need. They're experts at this, and their phones have been ringing off the hook for their free mortgage checkup. Call them at 314-567-GOLD. That's 314-567-4653. Golden Oak Lending. Let Golden Oak Lending cure your blues.
Family owned and operated since 1972, Lakeside Roofing is celebrating 45 years in the roofing industry and would like to thank you for your support over the years. They specialize in all types of commercial and residential roofing and ensure quality and professionalism. Lakeside offers expert installation and maintenance along with inspection services to fix and prevent problems before they occur. Call 618-344-2800 in Illinois or 314-241-5253 in Missouri to speak to a roofing expert today. For more information, visit lakesideroofing.com. Choose experience. Choose Lakeside.
Are you struggling to know when it's time for assisted living? The Bridge at Florissant. Here's our resident, Barbara.
People wait too late to make the decision. So I would tell someone, it's never easy just to say, okay, now's the time. We all have different seasons in life, and when the season comes that it's not safe anymore, face it. So we made the big decision and came, and we never regretted that.
The Bridge at Florissant. 314-831-0988.
Listen up, men. This is the St. Louis Men's Clinic. You've heard our ads on the radio, you've seen our commercials on TV, and you've seen us in the sports section of the newspaper, so you know what we do. Our physicians specialize in treating erectile dysfunction and premature issues in men of all ages. That's what we do all day, every day. So you've probably heard our ads thousands of times. The other times you were just listening to our ads, we were helping thousands of other men recover their sex life. While you were only watching our commercials, these men took action and have the intimacy back in their relationship. Don't wait until it's too late. Do something about your issue today and move from skeptic to believer. We have a $199 office visit right now. Appointments fill fast. Call now, 314-828-2600. That's 314-828-2600. Call 314-828-2600. And don't forget to ask about our new revolutionary Priapus shot.
FM News Talk. KFTK FM Florissant. KFTK AM East St. Louis. K254CR St. Louis.
The Mark Cox Show, brought to you by Thomas Helbig, the official St. Louis financial advisor of The Mark Cox Show.
Find everything Mark Cox at 971talk.com/Cox. FM News Talk 97.1.
The Capitol Hill countdown to Comey. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Former FBI Chief James Comey scheduled to testify Thursday to the Senate Intelligence Committee. President Trump, who decided this week not to use executive privilege to block that testimony, saying this a short time ago.
I wish him luck. Thank you, everybody.
Wishing luck to the man he fired and who is believed to have written a memo suggesting the president pressured him to drop an investigation of fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's Russia contacts. It's not clear yet just how much Comey will discuss publicly after recently talking to the special counsel on the Russia probe.
So the things to be watching for Thursday really are what he does not answer and cites the special counsel, whether that is his conversations with the president or whether it's elements of the ongoing Russia counterintelligence investigation.
Fox's Catherine Herridge. Bill Cosby's accuser takes the stand at his only criminal trial for sexual assault. Fox's Gernal Scott is live at the courthouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania.
Lisa, Andrea Constant is finally telling her story, one she's kept private up until now. She says she felt paralyzed and helpless after Cosby allegedly drugged and molested her at his suburban Philadelphia home. Cosby has maintained throughout depositions and pretrial hearings that the relationship was consensual. He put his hand to his forehead as Constant told her story in court. As has been the case, Cosby's defense is saying the recollection and detail from 2004 to now is flawed. Add to that lack of physical evidence, and they say a jury of 12 can't convict on her story alone, Lisa.
Gernal, thanks. On Wall Street, stocks finished lower for a second day. The Dow down 45 points at the closing bell. Fox News, fair and balanced.
When smart businesses need to grow their team, they do it on the site proven to deliver, Indeed.com. According to an independent study, Indeed delivers 5 times more hires than any other job site, more hires than the rest combined. And right now we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job, boosting your listing in relevant search results. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Indeed, the world's #1 job site. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Yo, everybody get up! Everybody get up! Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group. Just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost the sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Yo!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
97.1 News Time 3:03. Good afternoon. I'm Jason Church. The prescription drug assistance cuts due to go into effect on July 1st have many elderly Missourians worried about how they'll pay for medications. The AARP has planned an outreach program to let seniors know what they could face when the cuts become active. The North Patrol Division of the St. Louis Police Department had to evacuate earlier this morning after a package was dropped off at the building just after midnight. The bomb squad disposed of the package this morning before 5 a.m. A pending court case will decide who enforces the laws over horse-drawn carriages in the city. The Metropolitan Taxi Cab Commission and the city both say that the other is in charge of enforcing the rules regarding training of drivers and working animals in over 100-degree heat. Operation Food Search is getting prepared to deliver meals to children in the St. Louis area. The program feeds kids 18 and under. This news update brought to you by the Traffic Law Center. Traffic tickets are no fun. Call right now or text Ticket1. That's 842-5381, 314-TICKET1, or 618-TICKET1.
Mark Cox here, and allergy season is here too. That means cleaning, and nobody cleans like the maids. They don't just push the dirt around like some cleaning services.